Ladies and gentlemen, Diamond Podcasting Productions presents The Shoot, a pro wrestling podcast, with your hosts, Dan Burke and Drew McKenzie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Shoot, the official podcast of Pro Wrestling World Talks. Also here on Diamond Podcasting Productions here on YouTube. I am joined by my co-host, as always, by Mac. I am Daniel Burke this evening. We are going to talk about, of course, the upcoming shows this weekend of King and Queen of the Ring. We will also touch on AEW's 5th anniversary, and they will have Double or Nothing on Sunday as well. We will be discussing some of that. And, of course, the Scroll later on. But tonight we wanted to start off with, and I wanted to not apologize, but I wanted to make note of the fact that we were off last week. Unfortunately, my brother passed away last Monday morning of cancer. He was diagnosed back in August. It was small cell lung cancer was the diagnosis. And so the last 9 months has been a bit trying and very, we've had this kind of almost, I would say, kind of like a black cloud or kind of hanging over the family for the last 9 months or so. And it's not, whenever someone is sick, the last thing you want to do is kind of talk about it sometimes. Which is why, it was a very kind of private thing for myself to not kind of dwell on it. Of course, I also thought I was going to have a lot more time than we did, unfortunately. Yeah. It's been a week and a half, and I'm still kind of reeling and kind of accepting from everything that's kind of happened. We actually did record a show on Sunday, the night after the services, which Mac was at, which he drove all the way from New York at like 4:00 in the morning to be there. And one of the many reasons why he is my best friend for life and also my co-host, the love and appreciation that he has shown me and my family throughout this time has been extraordinary. It's exactly what I've kind of needed and what the family has needed as well. Saturday night being able to watch Family Guy high as a kite, not crying was fun. Not being able to kind of get over what the emotions of the day was. It's still, this whole thing is new to me. It just, the loss of a parent or a sibling, I've never, like when my grandparents passed away, they were in a very advanced age. You can argue that, especially with my grandmother, at some certain points, it was just like, she's obviously suffering. And my grandfather on my father's side, he was suffering, and you didn't think that this was going to happen at least this soon, because I go back to, I went to Salem and Boston with my brothers in October I wasn't gonna go. It was over Columbus Day weekend. It just hotel prices are ridiculous, just absolute joke. And especially when you slap on all the fees and convenience stuff, it's just like, what the hell?
Just to cut in real quick, I think part of it for you is October and Salem.
Yes.
I think
That was
any
another
other time of the
that,
year, it's probably
yeah.
not that bad. But we're talking about
Yes.
Salem, Massachusetts during the Halloween season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was just like, and we were in Boston. We were traveling from Boston, taking the commuter rail to Salem.
Oh yeah, Boston's gotten expensive for the past few
Yeah,
years.
and it's just it's ridiculous. So we went, but my brother David really kind of pushed it for me to go. And hindsight being what it is, I'm thankful that I was able to go. Stayed with him and Kayla, his fiance. And it was a good trip. It was a really good trip. I'm glad now that in retrospect that it happened. When I was working with a bunch of nerds, with Billy and the Toy Hunts.
Boo ran.
One of the last one of the ones that we did in December, David went along with us. So that's forever on YouTube. One of the last things because after that it was just a lot of family stuff, where I would see him at, and because he's going for treatment every week, and also he started working again back in I think January, February. He really was trying to kind of go back to some normalcy after his diagnosis. And then, on the weekends, he would be with Kayla and her son, Chris. And so I really didn't get a chance to kind of get that one-on-one kind of time a lot of it that I wanted, but I always thought it was like, I got a year. Not a year, but I thought I had years. Not year, but plural, years. I thought at least with the right treatment and that stuff that we were going to at least have a nice 5-10 years if everything went the way it did. First treatments were going okay, everything was shrinking at certain points. It was just like, all right, and then you'd get bad news, and then treatment's working again. And it just, finally they were going to do a clinical trial. He was going to get in. And then they couldn't get him in, though, for a CAT scan or an MRI because the pain was so bad. He felt like his liver was ripping apart because it had spread to his liver. And then, of course, Monday, not Monday, but more or less, why am I saying days? But his liver, and then also some lesions in the brain that they were looking at. But we thought with the clinical trial, we were going to, be able to kind of get a handle on this thing, and we were going to have, again, more time. So come to find out, the last day that I think we recorded Friday a few weeks ago because Mac had a personal engagement.
Yes.
And I had gotten a text earlier that day that he was in the hospital. And do you want to go see him tomorrow, which meant Saturday? So I went and saw him on Saturday. And again, it was probably on a few days. This is just a little setback, and it'll be all right. Next day, which is Mother's Day, we're in Rhode Island. Kaylee's call. And it's from the doctor, I believe Dr. Chen, who was there, who I saw that Saturday. Kind of gave us a breakdown of everything that was going on. And it's a very serious tone. And then they called back about 20 minutes later, and they were just like, you better get here now. So we all left. Booked it at Bay State Medical in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I saw him, but again, I didn't. It wasn't clicking. It wasn't clicking until the doctor came in and just kind of said and gave us a breakdown of everything that was going on and what was happening actively. And then it started to hit. That's when I broke down. I was in the hallway because I didn't want him to see me crying. So it's just I don't know why. I think maybe because I'm trying to, in the end, be protectful of and not start making him feel uncomfortable, things of that nature. Because I don't know what a person is going through mentally when you're in that process. And I didn't want to add to it like that. I didn't want to add to his stress. I didn't want to add to any of that. So I was in the hallway just bawling my eyes out. I had went down to the chapel at one point and sat by myself and more of a reflection and probably having internal dialogue with whoever is listening. Out of anger, frustration, sadness. I went back upstairs and the chaplain had come in and it's funny because I had a conversation with I had conversation with somebody recently, and I had said that I think I forgot the Our Father. I think I just completely forgot it because it's just
That was me.
It was beat, yeah, and it was beat into my head for so long. Every Sunday, and then you got CCD on top of it, and then CYC. That
Try going to private school. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know.
So long, and I still forget.
I got lucky that my parents moved to a town outside of Worcester because if I had stayed in Worcester, that probably would have ended up I would have ended up in that position as well. And I don't know how I would have done after that. Just because, by the time I hit 16, 17, and also the internet started to come into play. It's just like, hey, wait.
Not to be like disrespectful concerning the slide, but all I can think of right now, no, but you talk about the internet thing. All I can think of is that episode of Family Guy with Quagmire. Comes out of his house for the first time in days. I'm just checking out some of that internet porn.
Yeah, I'm just getting my mail. Fucking, he's got one arm that's Hogan's from like 1987. The fuck?
Yeah, the other arm is like a 2-3 kid.
So yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where when the chaplain started the Our Father, I'm like reciting every word, but I'm like, oh, okay. I guess when I'm in the moment, I remember it, but outside of the moment, I'm just like, it's buried. It's just there, It's like, it's here when I need it. Not needing it, but more or less just like when I'm in a Catholic Christian situation where it's being said, I remember it. Not saying I don't. I use it all the time. Pretty much when I need it. I'm not saying that, people. Don't cancel me for that. There's plenty of other stuff, I'm sure. My mother had said when he was talking to the chaplain, because he said to her at one point, this being David, are you a survivor? it was completely out of character, things of that nature. And she meant, and saying that survivor of cancer, he's just like, you kind of have that aura about you. And then he had made another reference, and my mom said to me, she's like, Grandpa was getting him. Grandpa was right next to him, pretty much telling him was taking him. She had figured it out. And I firmly believe that's what was happening. I firmly believe it. Because there were just things that he was saying. I'm just like, that's Grandpa Flanagan. It's him. Like, he's there. Right. And also, it just completely makes sense who the first guy that's going to be at the door when you're there, right? When you're going there, the first guy, you knew who it was going to be. You know, we all knew. And if that's the case, I hope that's the same fate that if that's where I'm going, that's the guy I want to be able to meet at the door. I'll be 100% honest. And we go home. Actually, I got to tell you the disappointment that I felt for him too when he hadn't eaten in days. It was a while, right? And he's like, I'm hungry. And my mom's just like, all right, what do you want? And he wanted pizza, and all she could get him was a tuna sandwich. I was like, oh my God, what a downgrade. I feel so bad. But he ate the whole thing. And so there was like banana bread there too. But a part of me was like, yeah, it's like, oh, do we got DoorDash or something? Yeah. You know, like, because it's like, but you didn't know. You didn't know. Like, maybe tomorrow we'll get him a pizza. Because we're still thinking, okay, we have maybe another day or two. It's not going to be tonight. It's not going to be tomorrow, overnight. It's just 6:00 Monday morning. I get the phone call. I think it was just before 6. Just before 6.
I think you got the call around 6, but he had passed a little bit before.
Yeah, he had passed at 2:15. Yeah,
right.
And there was a quote from Kevin Von Erich. He's just like, you never want to get that when that phone rings, when that phone is ringing at dusk or like at dawn, like just before dawn. He's like, when that phone rings just before dawn, you know it's never good. Yep. And that's those words just kept ringing in my head that day. Like, it was just like, fuck. It's like that early. It's like that early. It's like, oh, I know what this is. I don't, couldn't run from it. I think I was out of work all last week, and I think I probably slept 12, 14-hour days. I just slept. I didn't want to face the reality of it. I did not want to face the reality of it. I still don't. My birthday is in a week. My dad's is in this weekend. And, that wound is still, it's not even like it's stitched up yet. It's still like, fuck, we still gotta stop the bleeding a little bit. And that's what it feels like. It's just, because I internalize a lot, so my own mind is just doing. I overthink constantly, anyways. So it's just the king of overthinking. That's
another reason why we're best friends, because I do the same thing.
No, it's just we're thinking That's why I think we're wrestling fans too, because we're booking our own fucking downfalls at the time. We're just like, well, this is exactly what's going to happen, even though there's no plausible fucking way it's going to happen. We still thought of a scenario we're going to get fucked, and usually that scenario though sometimes comes up on the back burner where you're just like, oh shit, that actually happened. Oh no, damn it.
I love when it happens like years or months or whatever later too. That it's just like, oh shit,
you're just like, wow,
deja vu. Oh no, I booked this in my mind, and now it finally happened.
Yeah, it's just that's happened so many times to me in life where you're just like, whoa, I've been here, and that was part of my mom's deal too, because David's wishes on Saturday was, I'd like to go on a ventilator if we get to that point. I could tell my mom, and my mom was the proxy, and she's just like, ugh. I could tell because her thing is, it's like once you go on it,
usually you're not.
The chances are getting off, or you're just prolonging the process.
Yep.
And he finally agreed not to the next day, but it took the doctor to kind of explain everything to him, because mom felt really uncomfortable signing off on it, and she also had that guilt again, Irish guilt that we've talked about. It would have just ate her up. So I know that, and the fact is either that he's not suffering, which is a huge relief in that sense of just, okay, it's not like you're okay, like you're not suffering. It wasn't like a long process of just like having to do this for 5 years or 3 to 5 years. It's like, no, we did everything we could, and it was just too aggressive.
Yep. This is why the hashtag is cancer sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's the fucking worst. It is the worst disease, the most useless fucking disease on the planet. There's no need for it. And there's a lot of diseases, there's just no need for it. But this one especially is just like, because all it does is just, it hurts everyone involved. It hurts the medical people. They have PTSD from it. It hurts the families. It hurts the patients. The only thing it probably doesn't hurt is the goddamn insurance companies and big pharma. But just looking for red dots. Sorry. You know too much. Sorry. You're
one of those people that gets the FBI text. Stay right there.
Don't move. But the fact that it's 2024 and we're still dealing with this. We have electric cars now. AI is starting to now take over our lives in most parts. It's just they're writing term papers for people. They're writing Hollywood scripts. They're recreating scenes from movies and with actors that have been dead for 600 years. And you mean to tell me that we're still doing the same treatment still? Like you can't just look what they did with HIV and AIDS. It's treatable now. Take a pill, should be all right. It's also non-transferable, which is tremendous. It's fantastic because for years, it was a massive, massive issue what it did to people. And again, it was another disease. It just came out of it just destroyed lives.
Yeah.
But now people, it's like, yeah, because you think about the people, not only the family members that you may or may not have lost with it, but you think of the people in pop culture that went down because of it. It's the same thing with cancer too. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people that it just blows.
I think with HIV,
it sucks.
I think with HIV and AIDS though, the connotation, especially when you and I were kids, was way different.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah. You know, they equated it to homosexuality and all that, and then Magic got it, and then that was kind of blown out of the water.
Yeah, that changed everything. When Magic got it, when Magic got it, that opened everybody like, oh, we got to take this stuff seriously. Yeah, because there was an entire decade where the homosexuality community was pretty much just like,
it's not me.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's just pretty much for a decade, it was just, Reagan didn't even mention it, I think, until like 85, something like that. He didn't mention it for like 4. It's destroying San Francisco. And Reagan is just like, well, what is that? What is it called? Like that fucking guy. Like it's just, it was this negative connotation that just destroyed for a decade. Then Magic gets it, and everybody's just like, well, we got to do something to stop this. Fucking really?
I know.
Yeah, the same time that Magic gets his diagnosis is like this, I think within days was when Freddie Mercury died. So it was just like, but
yeah,
it was Magic. It was Magic that was like, now we got to take it. It's like, what about Freddie? Magic. It's like, oh God.
I mean, the British society sucks versus the LA Lakers star player. But not to diverge too much here. I agree though in the sense of it's just one of those situations where both HIV, AIDS, and cancer just hurts so many fucking people, and yeah, it's more manageable now for the HIV, AIDS, but it's still one of those situations where it doesn't go away. It's more manageable now, but cancer really isn't unless it's caught early, and even then, you have to see how you respond to treatment. Exactly, there's just no guarantees.
My mother, the saint that she is,
Saint Sheila,
has dealt with this stuff 3 times in the last 12 years.
Yep.
It's like, can you spare her for Christ's sake? Like, for real?
I know. Yeah.
Like, it's just, no one deserves it. No one does. David didn't deserve it. He was a tremendous human being, one of the nicest, genuine people that I've ever met in my entire life. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother. Yeah, I haven't been able to run from it. Like, my mom's gotten it 3 times in the last 12 years. One of my best friends got it 3 years ago. Friends. God.
I had to take it. I'm sorry.
I understand.
At least he knows now.
No, I know. And it's just, we have, and then, there's plenty of others, like, where you go on social media sometimes and you look at your friends list, and then all of a sudden it's just like, are you shitting me? Another one? It's like DJ Khaled. It's like, another one. Another one. It's like, fuck. Spare me that. Really?
You know what I'm seeing a lot of, too, is as you and I, unfortunately, get older, is a lot of heart conditions, too.
Fuck me. Yeah.
You lost somebody to that. I've lost somebody. I guess you know him too, but I'm not going to name names. A girl I went to grammar school with, who literally lives around the block from my parents. She passed recently. I don't know if she was sick, but it wasn't even 40 yet. And it's the loss, while it brings together a lot of different people, sometimes it also just it doesn't change the amount of hurt that you still experience, and it just sucks.
It makes me think about my own mortality, because you bring up the heart condition thing, and it's just like, I gotta get and I've tried so hard in the last, like, especially with some of the thing, it's just the last week or two, I was like, I'm tired of taking pills for shit, because I'm not doing what I need to be doing, and taking the steps to get better, and to, because the last thing I want to do is end up in a position where my parents have to now go through this process again. Like, it's the absolute last thing in the world that I want. I hate seeing them go through this.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that regardless of just that, that's part of getting older too.
Yeah, I know.
And those feelings even are part of getting older, not just the fact of taking care of yourself and taking the right medications and stuff. Like, I was telling this person, hold on one second, sorry.
Boo ran.
I was telling him that I just got put on fucking blood pressure medication recently.
Oh yeah, I'm on that.
And I'm like, dude, it's like,
I
thought 40 was the new 30. What the fuck, man?
It sucks. Like, and I've just been outrunning it. Like, I've been trying to just outrun it, and I'm thinking to myself, there's always, and it's like, I don't think I'm in the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm probably 10 minutes in the third, so I really got to start thinking about some shit. And that's,
I'm sorry,
not
a reference here, but are you 24-3, or are you like?
No, I'm just.
12?
What I mean is just like the clock's running, and you're just like, fuck, yeah, like, because the last thing, it's just, I need to be able to physically. I'm tired of being fat, to be quite honest. I'm just tired of it.
Me too. And I'm like, I was, what did I used to say? Something about fantasy fat man or something like that. I don't remember what I was.
Yeah.
Fat man by proxy. I don't remember.
Yeah,
that's how I used to be, and now I'm legit the fat man. So.
I just can't do it. I'm like, this thing has gotten to me to the point of where I'm just like, I'm start thinking about my own stuff, because it's like, I don't want to be in the same position. And I don't want to put my parents through it. I don't want to put Stephanie through it. I don't want to, the alternatives suck. Like, they just do. Like, I don't want to have to go through, I just don't.
You just don't want to go to the gym. Say it.
I'll
say it. I don't either.
I don't want to go to the gym. Fuck that. I'll eat less. Like, I'll eat less. I'll walk till the cows come home. But I cannot. Going to the gym.
I'll be honest with you. When I lost weight before COVID, I think you know that I was at like 90 pounds. Truthfully, all it was a lot of walking and a lot of changing habits.
Yeah.
I would still have cheat meals, but it would be far less. I would still have snacks, because they fucking doing certain things make you fucking hungry. Like that, like walking, like changing your dietary habits to eat less.
Yeah.
So, case in point, like, there are ways to do it. It's just once... The problem is the plateau. I think everybody knows that, who wants to go out and lose weight. Once you hit that plateau, it's incredibly tough to stay motivated.
Oh, yeah.
And once I hit about 170 and I still had pudge, that made it tough for me. Around that same time of being about 170, 180 is when COVID hit. And then I'm like, well, fuck, I'm not going anywhere now. So, but, yeah, I before we do anything else, I want to say my piece here as well. I know I don't have to, but I'm going to apologize for last week's whatever show. In between, that was kind of my fuck up. In retrospect, I think it worked out. We talked about that pre-show.
Yeah, it did.
But I still felt really fucking shitty when you told me that.
I know you did, and I should have been like, dude, don't worry about it. I should have gotten in touch with you sooner.
No,
and I'm just like, dude,
not your fault, and you did, but it's still, I still felt bad.
No, I know.
Not even
Irish guilt.
Jesus Christ. So just for reference, we talked about that all weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
But no, I've known your brother a good amount of time. I got to know him not incredibly well, but well enough. I did make the quip on the recording that we ended up losing that, one of the times I saw David was at one of your family parties. I get out back and he's like, "Hey, Mac, damn, you got fat, bro." And as much as it annoyed me in the moment, it's still one of my favorite memories about him. And truthfully, he's going to be missed. I do miss him as well, because every family function that you have that I attend now, because we are just that close that we do that I'm going to be like, where's David?
Yeah.
He had such a great personality, had a great presence. He was direct in some cases, but not, to hurt you, to be open with you and honest with you. And the times where he was hanging out, just chilling, watching wrestling with us, were some of the greatest times we had. So I'm definitely going to miss him as well.
Yeah, we were just talking about wrestling because I wanted to, because I'm sure the audience here is probably thinking, they're just like, well, like,
where's the goddamn
this wrestling? This has something to do with wrestling, only because of the fact that if it wasn't for David, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now working pro wrestling world, just pretty much everything wrestling wise in my lifetime he's been a part of. He's always had some kind of influence. As I'm looking up stuff right now, because I'm just like, wait a second, because he went the first show that I had ever went to. He was at. It was in 1991. It was actually the SummerSlam Spectacular. It was taped on July 29th. So it was July 29th, 1991. And this was shown on the USA Network right, I think a week before SummerSlam, 1991. Let's see. Hawk defeated Brian Knobbs. Bret Hart defeated the Barbarian. IRS defeated Mark Thomas. Okay, so that guy was a jobber. The British Bulldog, the Dragon, so that was Ricky Steamboat, and the Texas Tornado defeated the Orient Express and Sato. And then Hulk Hogan defeated Sergeant Slaughter by disqualification. And this, of course, was the rematch from their match at WrestleMania 7.
Yep.
The Natural Disasters defeated Ray Garcia and Russ Greenberg. And then Virgil, in the main event, defeated Mass Wrestler. That was his name. Mass Wrestler with Sensational Sherry and Ted DiBiase. That's right. Because Virgil was facing DiBiase at SummerSlam that year for the $1 million title.
Yep.
Oh, God. Man. You know what? I'm now realizing that
here we go.
I can check. I'm now realizing I can check. I've seen Kerry Von Erich and I've seen Ricky Steamboat, because I forgot they were on the card. I'm just like, wow, I could check more off my box than I really thought I could. But yeah, that was, like 1991. That was whew, like, just looking back and thinking about it, because he went to that show with me with my uncle. I remember I got they had the foam. Yeah, I was 8. Yeah. And I got the foam finger, the Hulk Hogan foam finger, and then the 2x4 of Hacksaw.
Oh, there
which,
you
yeah, but that was, which for some reason, I thought that was like the best ever. Like, I didn't
go. I really
understand it at
loved
the time.
Hacksaw, man.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, but I think it, like, he I don't know. It's just the whole.
I thought he was better in WCW.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's a fair point. Except when he beat Austin in like 10 seconds for the U.S. title.
I mean, established talent, but I get it. Yeah.
That was just annoying.
Oh yeah, of course it was.
Because like the funny thing is that like 93 and 94, I was already like a Steve Austin fan. So like that shows you where my kind of allegiance was already going, because I already liked him from the Hollywood Blondes.
He was talented, exactly.
He was. Like, I liked him and Pillman. I was just like, this is the best tag team in wrestling.
I mean,
and I'm 10 years old and I'm saying that.
At the time, I think they were.
Yeah. And they were the best tag team. And then, of course, the WCW's wisdom, let's break them up. Why?
Yeah, that definitely did not work out well for Brian Pillman.
And Dave, I believe, was a Steve Austin fan. That was I think that was his guy, yeah. Especially with he liked Taker too. Did not like Shawn Michaels.
I think that was leftover from 14. Honestly, I think it was
probably.
I think a lot of people hated Shawn around that same time.
Yeah, I think that was the thing where he was still thinking of Mania 14 before then. Which I understand, but if 2000 Shaw was the best, and that was completely a redeemer, that whole era for him of just like, okay, everybody hated me before, now I'm just going to be like, all right, and then it's hard to argue when you have match of the year from 2004 to 2010. Like Pro Wrestling Illustrated match of the year for 2004 through 2010 belonged to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
that's insane. But I understood why David didn't like him. I completely understood it. I understood too why David also was hard on Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair as well. Like we actually brought it up to me on Saturday. We're talking about the Flair pizza shop incident, which I found amusing.
Oh man!
He told me he liked the program as well, liked us here. So I was thrilled with that and honored. Well, the last thing he said to me before I kissed him, but when I left that Sunday, he told me I said I love you, and then he said to me, tell Steph I love her too. Tell Steph I love her, which immediately the bells were ringing off in my head. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
And then I had to come home with that to Steph, who took it hard.
Oh,
Saturday. Go ahead, sir.
Do you mind if I tell the truth here a little bit?
Yeah.
David and Steph did not always get along.
No.
And him saying that, I'm not going to speak for Stephanie, so to speak. I'll let you do that, but I know that hit a nerve because of that. I'm sure that she probably felt the exact same way that you felt walking out, like, oh shit. And
yeah,
it probably meant a lot in the sense of it's hard to react to that, especially given what happens less than 24 hours later.
She was upset just because of the fact she's like, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye.
Exactly.
Because I didn't get, I didn't think enough to put her on video chat. I didn't think enough. Because that was my plan. I said, don't worry. I said, Monday when I see him, I'll make sure to put him on video chat. And then right. Monday never came. And Saturday, I got to thank everybody for the support that have reached out, and the people that came Saturday to the event. It was a full house for him, which I was thrilled
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of people from his work. The fire department, I believe the chief from Warren had come out as well.
Yeah.
They paid tribute to him on Facebook as well, which tremendous. It's just the support, the people from FlexCon coming out. It didn't hit me until everybody had left, and it was just me and the immediate family when we were leaving. Then it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, well, this is the last time we're all going to be together. And that's when the tears and stuff started to come. And because I had held it together most of the day, you know, and but leaving before is when everything kind of just rushed to the surface, because it was the thought is just like, well, this is it. Like things. It's never going to be the same again. The reality hit. I'm just like, you know, this is it. This is the last time you're going to see. And this is the last time that the family is going to be whole, you know. And he's given me tremendous gifts. He's given me a great, I'd say, foundation for a lot of like the wrestling business as far as knowledge that he passed on. To me, he was just like so knowledgeable because he read books all the time. He held knowledge well. He could talk about really anything. When smartphones came out, he was just amazed because he was just like, because he wanted to try to know everything he could. He wanted to see everything he could, which he did. The famous story of when I was 6 years old, I had a play date. I went to a park. We got caught in a rainstorm. And so my mom took us back to the house after the rainstorm to kind of dry off, clean set of clothes, all that stuff. And my mom went to go take a shower. And she's like, David, could you watch the kids? So we both sat in the den, and David was watching a movie. And it was the Terminator, first one. It was the scene where they do the truck chase. He just gets into the truck, get out. So it's just, I'm watching this movie with my brother, not thinking about the 6-year-old girl that's also watching it. And, you know, and so it's the whole scene, pretty much the climax of the film. So the exoskeleton is chasing Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese into the warehouse situation, which, you know, to me, I'm just like, looking back on it now, that was such a cool scene. 6 years old, though, to certain people, and people that aren't kind of brought up into a situation of it's all make-believe, it kind of lingers. So come to find out, like a day or two later, my mom, or it might have been the same day, my mom gets a phone call from the parent all pissed off because she let their kid watch the Terminator. And their kid is now freaked out and can't go to sleep. And my mom is just like, but I didn't. And then said, yeah, it's in every movie. You know, it's just every goddamn movie where the kid gets in trouble. The mom just like, just yells at the kid. And David's just like, what? How, you know, like, what? I watched them. Nothing happened. They just watched a really good violent movie.
Yeah, I mean,
you got scared.
Meanwhile, like for context, Dave is like 15, 16 at this point, probably.
Yeah.
So he's not really thinking about that shit.
He's not thinking about that. We didn't think of shit like, look, PG-13s back then, PG-13s back in the 80s, folks.
Man. Yeah.
They would be rated R today. Like, that's, like, the grading system back then was completely different. Mind you, yes.
Very lax, yeah.
The first Terminator was rated R. So, okay, like, there's that. But at the same time, it's
still
like...
15, 16, though. Like, he's not thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly. He's not thinking about that. You know, it's just, it's just so funny to me. It's like that. That's one of the stories that's my brother. Cause it's just, cause but my entire life, he's been that influence. He's just like, the first time I saw Clerks, because of him. First time I saw Goodfellas, because of him. Like every single one of my favorite films ever has because he's introduced me to it. So he's opened up that world. And I'm just like, because, you know, the 90s were just all these independent films. Because, again, going into the early 2000s, there were films that I got turned on to later on, like when I went to college or stuff like that. But he told me about Clerks when I was probably, because 17, 18 is when I really started to really kind of hone into film. Like that's really when I started to kind of, because I started to grasp it more, and plus I wanted to get into production and broadcasting and stuff like that. So it was like kind of almost went hand in hand. But I remember one Christmas, he's just like, "You ever see Goodfellas?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, you're gonna watch it," and saw it, loved it. And then of course I gotta watch every Scorsese film. And then he's just like, "Oh, you seen Clerks?" No. Clerks is like the complete opposite of like Goodfellas, because it's like low budget, just shot in black and white, but the dialogue and the characters are amazing. So, and the humor is fantastic.
37 in a row?
Oh, God. Oh, I still use that. I still use lines from that film on a daily basis, every single day. And it's the same thing with Goodfellas. Like all the quotes that in my lifetime have been from films that he's turned me on to, or he's opened the door for. And it's the same thing he did with wrestling. I remember when my uncle handed me over his old WWF magazines. David let me keep like the last year, and then he got like the first three. Like, so I think he had it from like 88. He had like all the issues between like 88 and 92, something like that. And so Dave was like, "All right, you can keep 91, but I get the rest."
Sounds like something he would do.
And then eventually he handed them down, of course. Like one day he just came over with a box. He's like, "Here." Like, oh, you know, like, and he always, but every time he would go to like a flea market or something like that, and it had something vintage wrestling, he would hand it over. Like, he'd just be like, "Here." Like, and when we would go to That's Entertainment, he'd know I'd be in like the old wrestling magazine sections looking for like PWIs. And that is that influence that he's been able to, because he told me about Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all the like the after mags, because he was big on those, because he was like, "Oh, you know, WWF magazine's great, but these are a lot better." And I'd be like, "Wow, these are better." And then you're finding out about different promotions, like a world outside of the WWF, which, you know, is the WWF at certain points. When you first get into the WWF, you think this is the only wrestling company around, because their TV was so strong And then you walked into a Toys R Us, and they would literally have a giant section of just wall-to-wall action figures and wrestling buddies and title belts and all this stuff. And no other company was doing that. Nobody had that type of distribution because nobody was doing toys and marketing and action figures. Nobody was doing that except WWF. And then WCW a little bit. Actually, it was Flair who kind of got me into WCW because I was just like, who the hell is this guy when he came in at 91? So that opened the door. But also, again, I would read because my uncle also had a bunch of books that were done by like Apter and George Napolitano, who's the famous ringside photographer. And I'd be reading stuff about Flair, about Sid, all these guys that either did not show up or were in the company for just arrived. And I'd be like, oh, they're from another company. You'd read about Jerry Lawler. I knew about Lawler in 91, a year before he even debuted for WWE. And it was because of him. It was because of my uncle. It was because of the influence and the knowledge that they were able to give me, where I wasn't self-taught. I was a pro wrestling, the Observer. Yeah. 98 years old. First thing I wanted was a subscription to the Wrestling Observer by Dave Meltzer. No, I was taught the right way by people who were they didn't think about it as nerds. They, like a lot of us do, where there's some give and take with it, right? Because I'll admit freely, I'm a wrestling nerd, but at the same time, I don't want to be into that lumped in category with these people that are on Twitter that are constantly coming up with different ways I don't want to be lumped into that category. But I'll be freely admit that I'm a wrestling nerd, and it's because of my brother. It's because of David. It's because of my uncle and the knowledge that they kind of have brought on to me. And to close everything out on this, because it's going to take time. But Kayla, his fiance, is surely now an adopted sister. Her son Chris she told me, she's like, he's the only dad he's the only dad figure that he's ever really had. And I said, he's got more. I said, he's going to have me. He's going to have my brother, Jeremy Riccio. He's going to be in a good spot. So is she. I think that because we're just going to rally around her, rally around each other. I am so glad that my nieces were also here for this. Kim's eulogy was fantastic. So goddamn proud of her, and I'm very goddamn proud of Erica, who was up here with her daughter Bella. She was telling everybody that I knew that she finally made my uncle great because now he's a great uncle, which little clever girl. Like, I could get mad at it, but at the same time, I'm not.
Are we talking about the farting baby?
I was mentioning it's. We can mention that now. Steph just comes in and mentions, she's like, are we talking about the farting baby? So, of course, the priest is giving his sermon. And Erica's daughter, Bella, just
prettiest baby ever,
starts just shitting right in the middle of it. You're hearing it the whole time, and I'm trying not to laugh. I am trying not to laugh, but at the same time, it's also exactly what I wanted to happen because it just took my mind off everything with the toilet humor. And I'm also sure that David was probably finding it hysterical too as well. I'm just like, of course, I can't escape the shit, literally.
Literally, indeed.
It was like perfect timing.
It was perfect timing.
Way, like just whatever. The whole room was just quiet, and it's just the priest giving a sermon.
And you just hear
kidding.
But
that's what I heard. Across the room, no less.
Everybody was hearing it. That's like, yeah, I heard across the room.
That baby brought so much joy that day.
It did. It really
broke up the.
Yes, Saturday was extremely hard, but she was definitely.
She gave you like little moments of joy to give you like a break.
Yes. Yeah.
You did big girl. Anyway.
No, we're going back to this. It's the glove that she uses to brush my cat Beetlejuice with. Our cat, Beetlejuice. Sorry.
Not cat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, that's
it's
not
her cat.
Yeah.
It's her cat. No, it's her cat completely.
My baby.
Yes. I just admit it.
Bitch boy.
Okay. I'm gonna go off camera for just a quick second, but the audio is still picking up. Okay.
Hey. Mwah.
Wow.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
Because we need
so that
to
way
really, you know.
Good night, macaroon.
Good night, Stephanie.
Say good night.
Bye.
Bye. The gift of knowledge and the gift of the wrestling business, movies, and really a lot of other things that he's taught me over the years. Also to be a man and a stand-up person that I try to be. I think I definitely got my kind of attitude of being able to just say whatever the fuck you want and not because he did the same thing at times, just like we're assholes. But he did give me the gifts of Chris, Erica, and Kim. That is I'm proud of each one of them. I am proud with Erica. I am proud with Kim. I am proud with Chris. Chris is only 12, but he's definitely going to learn. I think hopefully not all the good, probably not, hopefully not all the bad stuff. You know, even though I joke with him constantly, I'm just like, you drinking yet? No. Okay, good.
Yeah, keep asking that question. You're probably going to drive him to do it.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I think that's also probably more with my brother because I think my brother would probably like him over to maybe serve him drinks on occasion.
Yeah.
Can you grab me that drink?
Yeah.
Even though I think, to be fair, I think all of us have kind of, Jeremy too, I think we've all kind of, maybe this is a bit of a wake-up call for both of us where we kind of need to just be like, all right, we need to start changing some shit.
I mean,
I think I
say
think,
it this way, hopefully.
hopefully, you know, but I also think he's, and both David and Jeremy both were exemplary. I think brothers. Early on in life, they taught me what not to do because of some of the things they did. And later on in life, though, they have been tremendous help and guidance, and being there when I absolutely needed them, and vice versa. And Jeremy and I now, it's just like we gotta kind of. I know I have to get better with trying to be more instead of just staying home all the time, instead of kind of going out, maybe seeing people more. I understand I have to be better with that. I probably have to be better with reaching out to people and seeing how people are instead of just like, you know, hit me up anytime. Because the thing about it is that I'm always thinking I'm bothering people because they have lives.
It's that Irish guilt, my guy.
Yeah, you know, and then too, it's like that. Yeah, it's strong. I know. Or I always feel like that because I had somebody mentioned that to me on Monday. They were going through a rough time, and they didn't question me, but there was like sometimes it happens where it's just one little slight. They think something's a slight when really it's not anything. So I had to kind of reaffirm them.
Gotcha.
And it was, but I get it. I get it sometimes because David always wanted to go out and see kind of like he'd always be traveling and always be doing that. I try to be I did get the knowledge part from him, like as far as just a lot of the stuff that I do of I guess you could say now is prep work, but also just the sense of being able to gather more information to try to get every little aspect and little funnel, little nugget and kernel that you can sometimes of just knowledge. But I don't like the part of going to places and things like that because it's like traveling. Yeah. So that's one place I think that we kind of differ.
I think it's, I don't think you've always been like that. Just, I've known you long enough. I don't think you've always been like that. But I think, especially since COVID changed a lot of people's opinions about stuff like that. Going places, wanting to be more outgoing, stuff like that. And, truthfully, comes down to money sometimes, too. A lot of people, especially as we get older, are just like, well, not even just looking at inflation, but, looking at prices of things like, holy fuck, I don't want to go there anymore. It's like 10 times the prices it used to be.
Well, like going to a concert, going to a ball game or something like that. It's like, I was thankful enough to go to the Royal Rumble this past January, but it was also on a gift. Meaning Hulk Hogan was also on a gift. Because normally, if I didn't probably get this as gifts, I probably would have done them. Maybe the Hulk Hogan one. I probably would have paid for that. Let's be honest here. If the timing worked out and I was in Florida around that time, I probably would have, Going to the Rumble, I probably couldn't have done both, so I probably would have sacrificed one of them. But luckily, I was able to do both. But it's just he was always verging out on the weekends, and just seeing the pictures posted on social media the last few years, especially when he got with Kayla. I was really loving just how his life was going. And I feel like that he had, I feel like that he did right in the end with her, and being able to just be at peace. I feel like, you're with somebody that I feel like they feel like they were soulmates. And I honestly feel like that. Yeah, that's exactly probably how it was, like without question. And, she's pretty much an adopted sister now. Cause it's like, well, you got us now. Like, you're still going to have, because it just, you can never replace David. You can't. You just can't. He's one of a kind. But it's like now to kind of not fill the void, but more or less just also say to her, like, we ain't going anywhere. We're not. Like, you're still going to be with us. You're still going to be a part of this family. And the same thing with Chris. Because I've known this kid since he was like 7 or 8 years old. He's a smartass, but that's because he's beyond the point. You can't be around us and not be smart asses.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
good point.
We have that, because Kimberly's a smart ass, Eric is a smart ass, Chris is a smart ass. So it's just they've all gotten that training and that kind of more or less, that foundation built for them. And I know I've rambled quite a bit. We probably got a lot longer on this than I was thinking, but at the same time, it's like, how do you eulogize your brother, your big brother? It's hard. This is hard. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I remember the night after a friend of mine passed 4 years ago, going on to another program that I used to be a person on, guest, pundit, whatever, and eulogizing it there. And that one was real tough. This is 100 times harder. And that one was sudden. I didn't even know there was a thing. Like, it was just like, he was,
right.
Everything was fine. And then the next day it was like, what? What do you mean he died? Where this one, there was, you knew there was a problem, but you thought you had longer, and it turns out you didn't. He was a great dude. It sucks because I feel like there was more we needed to talk about. I felt like there was more that needed to be, because now all the conversations are going to be one-sided. He's not going to come, like, I can talk to him, but he can't talk to me. He can hear me, which is a good thing, because that's the good thing about this, because maybe he does listen to us still. I don't know. He's probably in the other. For all I know, he's like literally right next to me, and he's just being able to hear everything I'm saying and just either laughing or agreeing with everything. We're in a. Death is a weird thing for me because I really don't have any answers. I don't think anybody does, really.
Except maybe nobody does.
Maybe because sometimes you like to hear the stories of the people that had near-death experiences where they're, because some of them will tell you, the majority of them tells you it's just, there's like a light and something, and you hear these vivid tales of they saw people from their past, and just, not going to go into the religious context of it. It's hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be one of those things I'm going to be like, I think I mentioned it the other day about an empty chair where it's like, that's, you're just going to let, it's going to be like that for a while. A couple of years anyways, where it's just going to be like, you're maybe the first of everything, and then it might get a little easier. Probably get a little harder. I don't know. Like,
get easier. It will. I mean, listen, it's easy for me to say that now. It's easy to experience that in the future, but there's a lot of time that you still have on this earth to, I don't want to say move on, but move past it a little bit, in the sense that your loss, or your sense of loss maybe, will diminish.
Well,
not going to be soon, unfortunately.
No, that's the hard part. It is a process. The whole grieving thing is a process, which, that's why I wanted to, I'm glad that I waited the week. I'm glad that the episode kind of went to shit the other day, because it's just,
this feels better.
This feels better. This feels right. And also at the same time, it's like, because the last time I feel like it was just too raw. I felt like I was just pushing kind of.
It was, yeah.
I was pushing the boundaries. It wasn't Melanie Pillman getting interviewed the night after Brian Pillman got died. It wasn't that, okay? Like, it wasn't that level, but it was still a level of just like, I wasn't ready, where now I feel like I'm ready.
This is much proper send off.
Yeah,
than the last one.
I 100% agree. And
good.
I feel like he'll probably enjoy this as well. And Dave, if you're listening, still, I hope I do you proud.
You 100% are going to do him proud. I'm going to answer that for him. You can shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You are 100% doing him proud. But what you can tell us about David is, what was his thoughts about Tony Khan?
He thought AEW was the shits, just like me.
Why am I not surprised?
He loved it. He loved it too. He's just like, you're gonna go on about, you're gonna talk about AEW. I said yes. Yeah. He was not a big fan of CM Punk, though. I can tell you that, because he was just like, he got fired. Then all of a sudden he shows up, and I think because I saw him a little while after that, he's just like, they gave him a job. I'm like, yeah. He's like, none of us would get a job after doing something like that at another employer. I'm like, it's a wrestling business, Dave.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's the wrestling business. It's not like we're dealing. They handle things differently. There's really no like HR at that. There was no HR at AEW. He couldn't do that in WWE because he'd be like, oh, that'd be a problem. But at AEW, he can do it because there's no HR. It's like, it's how they handle this shit. It's how that shit gets handled. I'm like, actually, I said, remember in the 70s and 80s, they used to use guns? He's like, that's a good point.
Man. Or Tank Abbott in the 90s pulling a knife on a guy.
In a fucking live pay-per-view. I'll fucking kill you. What? Devani having to be like, oh, what is he doing? He's trying to cut his beard. Nope.
No,
he's not trying to cut his beard,
no,
Tony.
That's not what he was trying to do.
It's funny seeing Tony now, because it's like you're starting to see he's getting Vietnam flashbacks now sometimes. Stuff.
He really is.
You just see it in his face. It's just like, this is the end.
It's like working ways in his head about how to get out of his contract.
The fucking Doors are playing in his head. This is the end. It's literally Apocalypse Now.
He's playing like uncomfortably numb in his head, I think.
It's just you. But Saturday, the night of the King and Queen of the Ring, will be the 5th anniversary of AEW's first show, Double or Nothing from Las Vegas, which their edition of it will be taking place on Sunday, the following day. But it was pointed out to me this morning by my close friend Billy.
Boo ran.
That I was wrong that AEW made it past 5 years. Which, that's fair. And I'm not trying to move the goalposts, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to move the goalposts, and I'm not trying to do any of that. And, I'm willing to take my lumps. I'm willing to take my lumps on that. The fact that they're still in business after 5 years. But you can't tell me that every criticism and everything that I have said that AEW would do or what Tony Khan wouldn't do in some situations have not only come to fruition, but have been, I guess you could say in a phrase, dead fucking on. You can sit here and tell me they didn't do it in 5 years. Fine. I was mistaken. I'm not trying to move the goalposts, but I am willing to sit here and tell you that everything that this company has done for the last 5 years, yes, they had a couple of good years. 2019, 2020, 2021, part of 2022, parts of 2022. They were doing tremendous business. Not just, maybe not financially, because there was a couple of years there I think he was taking losses, but
pretty sure he still is, but yeah.
I will say, I still think he's dealing with shit. But I will say that I felt like that they were a good thing for the industry. They created a lot of buzz. They created a lot of interest. They made WWE kind of get their shit together, even though, if you want my honest opinion, I think that the tide really turned when Vince McMahon was taken out of the creative seat. Cody leaving was a big one. Cody leaving was the first domino to fall.
That's the one where I'm like, I think I agree with your sentiment, though. I think that is the first domino. I think Vince is the second one. I think, and I'm going to say this is a separate domino, but Triple H really, given the power of creative, and not just in the sense of he's taking over for Vince, but for really producing some of these great stories that we have had over the past 2 years, especially.
Yes.
I have to give it to Triple H. Like, I really do. Because while, yes, some of them are predictable, so they were under Vince too.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable with the predictability.
Exactly.
Like, it's just there. It's going to be the majority of the storylines in this industry are done. Like, it's going to be repetitive. It's going to be a contender. And when you're talking about an industry where you're fighting for a championship, it's contender fights for championship. So that road is always going to be a guy chasing the title and the title holder trying to defend the title.
Oh, I mean,
it's been that way for centuries.
Yeah.
So when people are just like, it's repetitive. No, dipshit. It's just the way it is.
See,
it's not repetitive. It's just the way it is.
That's where the long-term storytelling and the long-term booking comes into play that I think Triple H has really nailed.
Right.
You know, because you're right. Like, yeah, if you want to, disseminate it that far, then yeah, that's exactly what it is. But it's the stories that go into play there that tell more, right? That make the matches more meaningful. We didn't get that with a lot of matches since, I would say, WrestleMania, really.
No.
You could make the argument for Liv and Becky, maybe, but even that feels like it's been rushed. And I get it. You only have 3 weeks between pay-per-views since WrestleMania, and that's fine. But
well, I think the rush with the Becky and Liv situation is also has to do with the fact that Becky's contract is still running. I think it's up. Probably, I think next week.
Well, she was supposed to have time off too.
Right. So, which she'll probably get that time off, and then they'll
reassess. Yeah.
I don't think, unless the only way that she is leaving WWE is if Tony Khan offers her $1 million a month.
I'm going to say right now, even then, I don't see it because Seth Rollins has already re-signed.
He has. But Becky Lynch, in my opinion, because I look at the AEW women's division.
I'm sorry.
And I there is some great talent in that division. There really is.
Some.
There is some, yes. I'm not saying there is some great talent in that division. And if you give Becky that type of money and you're able to get her, you might be able to get more people watching the product because Becky, I feel like, is somebody that will elevate that division and elevate the talent around her, while others that you're paying a lot of money towards, Mercedes.
Speaking of predictable, I knew where that was going pretty quickly.
Where somebody that's going to be able, I think, in the end, to be able to get you to be a game changer for the company in that women's division, it would be Becky. And you making her the highest paid women's wrestler would make 100% sense because it's Becky.
Oh man, that would piss me
off
so bad.
However, I don't know if she would make that jump because she has probably noticed a lot of what's happened. Like something people need to realize that Daniel Bryan, when he left WWE, when he was in WWE, he could do like appearances, and the money, like the appearance fees, were pretty high. When he left WWE to go to AEW, that number started to dwindle because there wasn't much. That's how powerful WWE is. Like, does Adam Copeland have the same buzz, or probably has the same type of kind of Q rating that he would in WWE? Absolutely not.
Only on the Chris Van Vliet show.
Yeah. It's like it's a hard
receive at this point.
The hard part is that AEW is in a position where, yes, they are the number 2 in pro wrestling. But the problem is that number 1 is so far ahead of you in revenue and powerful. Just people are actually give a shit. And they're actually doing wrestling because look what they did with the King of the Ring tournament. The King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments have been excellent.
Those matches have kicked ass.
The statistic that I saw the other day, I think there was the Valkyrie Io Sky match. That match actually, yes, it went 19 minutes, which is longer than Vince gave the entire tournament back in 2021.
For the women, we should
clarify
that. Yeah,
for the whole tournament.
Yeah,
whole tournament.
They got 18 minutes, and this one match was 19 minutes.
Brian Alvarez has been talking about how great the tournament has been. From Wrestling Observer.
Great for the men and the women.
Fantastic.
It has
fantastic.
So we talked a little bit about your brother, so I just want to clarify those too. Like, we did not watch a lot of wrestling. So
no.
We had to catch up.
I did.
And I did most of that over the week during my downtime while working, because I have that type of job that I'm able to kind of focus on multiple things at once. And I'm watching some of these qualifier matches, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is a great match.
Yeah.
All of them.
Because it's about wrestling now. It's not sports entertainment, it's about wrestling. And they put the stakes in now, because whoever wins the tournament this weekend, the men's and women's, whoever wins King of the Ring and Queens of the Ring, will now get to challenge for the championship on their brand at SummerSlam. Brilliant.
It always should have been like that.
Brilliant. And they've only done this, I think, once.
Once, yeah.
And that was 2002 with Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
Which, fucking great way to do it. Don't get me wrong.
But I mean, can you imagine if they did this when like Steve Austin won King of the Ring?
Oh yeah.
You go from the Austin 316 promo to like a month or two later to, challenging for the WWE title at that point.
The thing, I mean, Austin got what he wanted like 6 months later because they put him with Brett, which I think that was.
I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah,
and I agree that Brett was great. I'm just saying in the context of previous kings and queens of the ring and giving them those title shots.
The problem with the Steve Austin thing in '96 is I feel like that they probably would have fed him to Shawn anyways, which I feel like would have hurt him.
True.
Not that
he needed that Brett feud first.
He needed the Brett feud. Yeah, he needed the Brett feud because he needed someone that was not the champion, but could at least bring him up to the level of him being an established name and established champion.
Yep.
Brett did that for Steve, and that's what put Steve over the top. Because you look at WrestleMania 13, that match put him over the top with Brett. Yep. That was when it was just like, okay, he's going to be a star, big time player. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to use that as a segue. So, this was announced, I believe, right before the last show we did. We didn't get a chance to really talk about it too much because of what we had on that show, and then obviously with this past week. But 41 finally announced for WrestleMania 41 being in Las Vegas.
Woohoo!
So I want to get your thoughts there, but I think it's important to talk about.
Do they pay Vegas?
Do they what? I'm sorry.
Do they pay Elvis for Viva Las Vegas?
They better.
They have to.
Yeah, they better. Yeah, they better. So I do want to discuss that, but I think it's important to also discuss SummerSlam for 2026. So this was announced today. So we're recording on Thursday, mind you. But this was announced today. So SummerSlam will be 2 nights in 2026. August 1st and August 2nd, 2026 in Minneapolis. Minneapolis was also rumored to be the site of WrestleMania 41 as well. So maybe this is like their
make good.
Yeah, their goodwill gesture.
Yeah.
But this is it'll be the first time ever that SummerSlam will be 2 nights. So I want to get your thoughts on both. I think it's important to discuss both at the same time just because of the context that WrestleMania 41, for all intents and purposes, before it was announced, was going to Minneapolis. Now it's not, and now, ironically enough, 2 years from now, they're announcing 2 years out that SummerSlam is in Minneapolis, and it's 2 nights.
Have they announced yet where 2025 is going to be?
I would have to look. Give me a sec, but go ahead and talk while I'm doing that.
Because that's us. Because if that's the case, that's opening up my speculation. That my antenna is starting to go off a little bit here. Because if that's the case,
wait, they did, didn't they? Isn't it Cleveland or something?
No, Cleveland, I think is that's this year.
Oh, okay. I think you're right.
Because I'm thinking about next year.
Okay, so hold on. So this is on Fansided. Let me see if they have it. It seems like they might. Alright, so Cleveland is there. There's also the case of 2025, as we simply do not have a WWE calendar for future dates. So, yeah, I don't think they have any idea. So only 2024 and 2026 do we actually know about right now.
I think they're going to do Wembley for 2025. It's for SummerSlam. You heard it here first.
Man.
You heard it here first. They're going to do Wembley for 2025. You heard it here first.
But yeah, maybe they'll do 2 nights. You know, we'll have to kind of see.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
It would be cool.
Pissed Tony Khan off too.
Well, that's the thing, because it's the same month as All Out, because All Out is.
That's why I'm saying it. Yeah.
Well, All In. Excuse me.
All douches. Yep.
Yeah. So All In is the same month, and it's going to be in Wembley. Saudi Arabia too is a possibility because they want a Big 4 pay-per-view badly.
That's true.
They have been throwing around the idea of a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I don't think they're going to give them WrestleMania. Unless
I don't think so.
The only way they do a WrestleMania at Saudi Arabia is if they're going to get paid $250 to $500 million. That is the only way they do WrestleMania from Saudi Arabia. I don't see it going any other way. And
the thing is with doing it that way, though, is that you get the women talent who can't wear their normal ring gear again, which we're probably going to see this weekend.
That's the hard part.
Matter? And like, for some people, it doesn't matter. Like, let's be real. Some people don't give a crap, but some do. And
you're a kicker for the Chiefs. It matters.
I have no words for that one.
Boo Rant.
Go with that. Yeah.
But no, that's a good point. I mean, you'd have to scale down because you're going. Plus, it's just. I don't know if you're going to want an intellectual property as huge as WrestleMania. Being in Saudi Arabia for 1 year.
So hold on. Yeah, I think that's a good point to mention right now. We're not saying it shouldn't be at a international venue. We're not saying that because, dude, like, if it was warmer, you could do Wembley, like you mentioned for SummerSlam, which I think would be a very cool venue to do it at. You could do, like, they went to France. It was like the second or third largest venue in France that they could have been at. I mean, what's the first? How big is that? You have some of these football stadiums, especially in these other countries. I say football meaning soccer for those uninitiated in soccer, especially in European countries. But still, like, you could do some of those. The sky's the limit. Like, don't hold yourself just to the States. I don't know about Saudi Arabia. They'd have to make some kind of a deal, I feel like, for the women talent to wear what they want to wear.
Right.
I don't think it's going to go over that well, so it probably won't happen. But who's to say that then, again, they're doing, 2 or 3 other international venues aside from this one coming up? If they're doing Bash in Berlin, they're doing, Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle.
Who's to say?
I mean, they're especially after everything with France, with how Backlash went, they are going to want to have that feeling, that experience again, but also mostly because it's like Nick Khan is just looking at it. He's got his little thing out. And he's just like, it's a lot of zeros. Yeah, it's just they're a cash machine right now. So them going to other countries, hey, if you're going to have us, you're going to pay. Come on, we'll come. And I think that's, there's a reason they didn't do Wembley. Yeah, I know Tony Khan thinks, we're the biggest wrestling event ever. Look, if they do SummerSlam at Wembley, they're going to hit the number for real. And everybody that's in your company is going to be going absolutely out of its mind because they're going to be wanting to be on that show because, and I said it after All Out last year, you are never going to fill Wembley Stadium again. You're not.
I don't know.
You're not. AEW will not fill Wembley Stadium again. They just won't.
I think I mentioned this the last time I talked about this, but with the Will Ospreay, I think it's a distinct possibility.
It's a possibility. I mean, even though you're going to sacrifice Swerve to do it. I mean, pretty much Swerve just has the.
That's
they are
so
dumb.
Stupid.
They are dumb. But I feel like Swerve just has the look because All In is coming. Everybody and their mother knows it's going to be Ospreay challenging for the world championship, and Swerve is probably going to be the guy that's going to be is going to be losing.
Probably.
And because they want to go with Ospreay, which I understand. I completely understand. I completely understand why you want to go with Ospreay. But the problem is you're going to sacrifice Swerve,
who at the current time is one of their hottest commodities, no less, too.
Without question.
To me, it would be like sacrificing MJF against him as well, right? If I don't like it.
I don't like it either. But
and
I feel like
not to say that Will Ospreay is not incredibly fucking talented, by the way.
Oh, he's great.
But I don't. It's like bringing in a Mercedes and giving her the fucking TBS title at this point. Like, we all know it's gonna fucking happen. Probably nobody fucking wants it.
Do you agree with me that she is going to probably get booed out of the building on Sunday?
I'm not going to agree or disagree. However, I will say this: I will be incredibly surprised if she doesn't. When was the last time she saw action? Like a year ago?
2 years, last year. Yeah.
And before that, like a year before that too, give or take.
No, a couple of months because
I don't know if it was a couple. I think
it was Well, she wrestled. She debuted at Wrestle Kingdom, and then she won, and then she she wrestled a couple of times before that incident with Willow.
Right.
But she's been out for a year.
Yep. And every time she touches the ring, and especially the microphone, she just gets more and more exposed.
But Willow, we all knew that was coming. We all knew that this is Mercedes is in the same box as Brock Lesnar was with Cain Velasquez. He's in the same box with Hulk Hogan for the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She needs her win back. So, and I disagreed with their decision making of, well, it's got to be for the TBS title. Why?
But it doesn't.
She's a big enough name. You could have had this match without having the title online.
Or if she's such a big name, why are you giving her like the women mid-card title and not like, having?
Well, you can't.
Toni Storm?
Well, because they don't want to sacrifice Tony, which
is 100% the right thing to do for them.
And she's smart enough to know. Because the thing here is that her working with the Willow, she's thinking best odds, maybe it's 50-50, maybe it's 60-40, 70-30. So they're not going to completely reject her. They put her up against Tony. It would be 100% against for Tony. 0% against Mercedes. They're going to reject her. She won't be able to deal with that.
But to your point of what you said a couple minutes ago, they're going to reject her anyways.
Yeah, I don't think she knew. She is so fragile mentally.
Okay.
She is not going to be able to deal with what's going to happen. Because it's not. It's now the barrier of get the fuck out. When you got Dave Meltzer going out and saying she needs to change it up, it's Sasha being presented in AEW, that's not going to work.
That's already what they're doing.
And that's exactly what's happened. She has not changed a thing.
Well,
and it was the same thing that I said a year and a half ago to people. I said, she goes to Japan, she's going to get exposed. And people wouldn't listen. They kept saying, she'll do fine. The cream rises to the top. She's a good enough talent.
But she was... oh, my God. This is what bothers me when people say that stuff, because in WWE, she was incredibly protected. They have writers writing her scripts. She could feed off the other talent if she got struggling in the ring, which I don't think she was. I'm just gonna say that now. But again, just to clarify, she could have, because she had great talent that she worked with. But the mic skills were not 100% her.
Never there.
And for those that don't know, real quick, those that don't know, they brought in a writer to work with her in AEW. It's still not fucking working.
No. They touted that because it was somebody who'd left WWE, and they were like, "Oh, we picked her from WWE, and she's going to be able to write for Mercedes, and Mercedes is going to be like she was in WWE." Hasn't worked.
I mean,
because Sasha
about this too, like people left the WWE product because it was WWE product.
Yep.
They don't want WWE and AEW. Might want some of the talent. Let's be realistic for a second, but she's only talented in the ring, and wrestling is one of those things where it's twofold, right? Like you have to be talented in the ring, yeah, but if you're going to be a top talent, you have to work the mic too, and she just can't do that.
Here's something that people also kind of need to realize, right? Jon Moxley in WWE, in my opinion, never worked. He's better presented in AEW. Yeah. Jade Cargill in AEW didn't work. Jade Cargill in WWE, much better. It's
all right. I think it's time to move on. If you're saying that right now.
No, what I'm saying is that the president.
Okay.
Like
I'll
where
give you the presentation.
I think you look at Mox, and Moxley, I feel like he's coming out to Wild Thing. He's coming out through the crowd. Even I get into it. Like I get into that. I think it's a badass entrance. He comes out, and I'm not saying he's stone.
I think of Major
I'm not.
League.
I know, and that's a part of it, but it's also the fact it's just, yeah, but it's just
it connects more to his character. I feel like
he's just
that's what you were gonna say, right?
Yeah, because it's like here he is with a house plant in WWE, like he's got a house plant, right? That's his whole gimmick. He's got the house plant for. It's like when he goes into AEW, he's just like, I'm just gonna go out and kick the shit out of everybody. Yeah, I'm going to bleed within 2 minutes of all my matches. All right. I like Mox. Like, I will be the first one to admit it. Because there's a lot of talent in AEW I really like. I just don't like their booking. And I don't like I don't like their fans. The super fans, for the most part. I think they're bad for the industry. I think they gatekeep way too much. And I don't like AEW as a company because of how everybody who works there, everybody who runs it, and the majority of their fans love smelling their own farts. That's what it is. It's just they have to remind everyone every fucking day how great they are, how great the talent is, how great the wrestling is.
So, you know what? Why don't we table that? Because I feel like when we do the scroll, we're probably going to see some of that.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it a little bit more clearly.
Yes.
So yeah,
I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
So congratulations on 5 years to AEW, I guess. We'll see how that goes for them in the next few years if they make it that far. Congrats on WWE announcing a couple weeks ago that Mania 41 will be in Vegas, and again today on 5/23 that SummerSlam will be 2 nights in 2026 in Minneapolis. We'll have to see how that goes, but we should probably talk a little bit about King and Queen of the Ring. So we only know 3 matches are confirmed right now, pending the results of the finals on the SmackDown side of things for King and Queen of the Ring. So King and Queen of the Ring, I guess we'll start there just very quickly. So Gunther advances for the men on Raw. He is in the finals at the PLE, and he'll be facing either Tama Tonga or Randy Orton. On the women's side, Lyra Valkyria, as we kind of talked about earlier, with Io Sky having a 19-minute match, which was longer than the previous Queen of the Ring tournament by a minute. Yes, the tournament. And she will be facing the winner on the SmackDown side, which will either be Bianca Belair or Nia Jax.
Oof.
Yeah. So when you say they were pushing Lyra, I don't know how far that's going to go.
Well, I mean,
depending on who she fights, I guess.
I think if I mean, you've already done Bianca and Bayley now, except it's a different type of kind of booking because they're both faces. But Nia Jax winning over Bianca, then you have the David Goliath. I hate using those terms when I'm talking about women, but it's the best one I can get to, folks. So, but you have that natural David versus Goliath type, story for her to get over. And if you wanted to have Nia Jax versus Bayley, because look, and Nia Jax on this run since she got rehired has been excellent. She has been great because she understands her role. And also, I think Triple H knows how to book giants, not calling her a monster, but, a monster badass heel.
Yeah.
I'm not calling her a monster whatsoever, too, because Nia is gorgeous.
I will say this: she's
gorgeous.
Definitely grown on me since she's camped.
Yes.
It feels like she plays the heel a lot better this time.
She's
around.
So good.
She's very good.
She's so because her with Jade Cargill's daughter last week. I was just like, wow, she's
Your
good
mom
at this.
sucks.
Yeah, I was like, God, she's good at this because it's just, and that's the thing. She generates heat. They want people to come out there with a reaction. And when she comes out, she knows how to do it. And she's gotten better in ring. She's less careless. You can make the argument that, yeah, in her first run, she was pretty careless at times. But I don't feel like that has been the case so far since she's come back. Sure, Kairi Sane is like, I don't want to work with her. But so it's like I look at Nia and I'm just like, if she's Queen of the Ring and they Bayley, yeah, all right. I just don't want to see Bianca win it, and then because really you look at it, if she's in the tournament, she's in the finals, right?
Who, Bianca? You mean?
Not Bianca. Lyra.
Oh, Lyra. Yeah.
Lyra. So Lyra is in the finals. You got an up and comer. This is a platform as soon as this is the moment with a younger talent when it's like you put her up against Bianca, you put her up against Nia Jax. This is a sink or swim moment. If they can work with these two, put her up against Bianca, that's going to be a good matchup. Because that's a real test.
Yep.
But also, I don't know if you're going to be able to put her against Bianca because Bianca, I think, is a great. Bianca has been able to have fantastic matches, especially with Becky Lynch, especially with Bayley, Asuka, because I feel like they were kind of leading.
So before you go any further, I don't know if you've taken a look at social media this past week, and this is kind of I don't want to say a detriment, obviously, considering it's good news, depending how you look at it.
Yes.
But it probably means that either A, Bianca is going to lose and Nia advances, or Bianca is going to lose in the finals. And that is that there is a distinct possibility, depending on social media posts by Montez Ford, that Bianca is pregnant.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I saw that.
And listen, that's unconfirmed at this point. I believe I will say, if it's true, congratulations, Bianca Belair. Congratulations, Montez Ford. It just, as I said, it will... And Bianca's in Saudi Arabia already. Pretty sure Nia probably is too, considering the match.
It is going to affect... it's going to affect booking. And it's also... I mean... It makes it easier when you have a division and you have all these girls that are coming up that pipeline right now that are just, they're ready to go. And if you lose Bianca for a year plus, you're really not hurt.
I mean, listen, you're going to get Alexa Bliss back. Try to say like two different things at the same time. I apologize. You're going to get Alexa back. I'm going to say this. Probably within the next few months. They keep teasing the Uncle Howdy thing. She's obviously going to be part of the Wyatt Six, or whatever the hell they're going to call themselves. So, I don't think it hurts. And you have enough, as you said, enough women talent that you can kind of call upon, call up, bring back, whatever, and you have enough already on both the main roster of Raw and SmackDown that I think you're okay.
Yeah.
I think the only person this might hurt, truthfully, and I hate to say it this way, is Jade.
Because my thought process was she's going to learn from Bianca. She's going to get timing because Bianca's going to work with her. And also that plan of Jade and Bianca down the line, that's going to put a pause on that.
So what, though?
I mean, yeah, exactly. So what? I remember when Becky Lynch first got pregnant, and I remember just my first reaction was, I'm just like, this wouldn't have fucking happened in the 70s. Like, like that was my first reaction, because I'm like, can you imagine Ole Anderson or Dusty or fucking Bill Watts for that matter? You're walking into the room, I'm pregnant, you're fucking fired. Like, because that's how the mentality was back then. They were just like, they didn't, this whole, but it wasn't just like that in wrestling. It was like that pretty much everywhere.
It was, yeah.
But especially in wrestling, because it was just like, this is why women's wrestling wasn't booked at the top of it, because there was a mentality that, oh, they can get knocked up at any time, and then my booking's fucked. Which, when that happened with Becky, I remember just sitting there and I'm just like, but whatever. Because it's a part of life. And now that women are more prevalent in wrestling, it's like, but also too, it's like, they'll be fine. Because it gets you more over. I feel like being a mother, it gets you more of an audience now, because more women that are moms are going to watch the product, because they're just going to be like, oh, this person's my favorite because they're still a mom and they could go out there and kick ass.
Well, they see you as not you specifically, obviously, but those that have children, I feel like they see them as more sympathetic characters too.
Right.
Granted, it depends. Becky did come back, and she had that heel turn eventually as well. But I mean, even still, a character, if you will, like Bianca Belair, I feel like they're just gonna see her more and more sympathetic, because she's been a face for years at this point.
Yeah. Which I didn't ever expect that was Because I'm like, I don't know if you could turn her into a babyface. But
she's made it work.
She's made it work because she's a fucking role model.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I didn't understand it until it was after she won, I think after she beat Mercedes at Mania. And that's when you started to see, like, the girls at appearances are starting to dress like her.
Yeah.
They're doing the braids. And you're like, this is creating a whole new thing. Like, and it's because, let's face it, for women, and I mean, women are going to make more money in pro wrestling than they probably are anything else athletically, because even though Caitlin Clark is going to do some big movement with the WNBA, I feel like the ratings are already starting to go up. I feel like she is going to be able to have an effect on the WNBA where they're hopefully other girls are finally going to get a payday as well. Yeah. But as far as professional athletics is concerned, or entertainment for that matter, you're going to make more money in WWE than you are anywhere else.
Yeah.
Any 5-star athlete, you're not going to make that type of money anywhere else, except maybe if you're a tennis player, fine. Or you play fucking golf. But you're not going to make this type of money. MMA, they're not going to pay any of it. The pay scale between MMA and WWE is still, and they're the same umbrella now.
Yeah,
like you'd think Dana.
Remember too.
That's the funny part, is the fact that WWE pays more than UFC does, and a couple weeks ago I was at the store, and I've been looking for this one for a while. So that should tell you something. Like, I'm buying action figures now of the girl talents. And not just the ones that at one point I found pretty.
But
I do find them pretty.
You said that.
I'm just saying, I do find them pretty. But also, like, Bianca is one of the best in-ring talents I have ever seen for a woman. Ever seen. And she's been and I remember seeing her in the Mae Young Classic. I was telling everybody, I'm like,
yeah,
3 years.
I think she's up there. I don't think she's number one in terms of the female talent.
No, I don't think she's. I don't think she's number one, but she's in the top 10.
Easily.
Like, she's in the top 10. I would put her ahead of Mercedes. And I'm not just saying that from
yeah.
It's just, she's a better performer. She's a better performer. She's better all around. She's better in ring. She's better on the mic. She's better character-wise. If you gave her the legit boss gimmick, she'd knock it out of the fucking park. Yep. You'd be selling more money in merch with her than probably you ever did with Mercedes. Same thing goes for Jade Cargill.
Well,
problem with Jade is that
let's transition real quick into that conversation for a second. So this is why I kind of held my breath a little bit during the AEW whatever segment. I think Jade still has a bit to go. And I don't mean that probably as insultingly as it sounds, but for all intents and purposes, she's looked pretty decent, Queen of the Ring. She's looked decent the past couple of weeks. Even though she lost to Nia by disqualification, she didn't look bad. And, the match that she had in the first round, I don't think that was bad either, up against Piper Niven.
Yes.
And I remember saying, with Piper Niven, it was just like, oh, well, she's a bigger target. But, it was just the truth of the matter. And that was a good match, and you could tell Piper was trying to protect her, too. This match with Nia Jax, I felt like it could have gone either way, and truthfully, I feel like they should have just restarted the match, because technically it should have been a double disqualification, if anything. She tried to hit her with a chair first, but I think Jade, if Bianca is not pregnant, is in good shape where she is. However, I feel like if she is pregnant, I feel like they should do what they did with the Usos, and have somebody else kind of be co-champion with her. Because if you remember, they had Sammy come in at one point and defend it for Jay or Jimmy at one point. I don't remember who.
Right.
And they allowed that to be. And I think they even did it for the women at one point, too. And I think that's what needs to happen here. You still need to stick her with somebody that can help her out. That can work with her on, whether it be timing, whether it be anything, really. But I see the growth. I see the growth potential, but I do see the growth as well. But I guess that's a good segue into, do you feel like there's been any standout aside from obviously just the winners in this? Because the other standout to me, truthfully, even though she only had one televised match, was Tiffany Stratton and Bianca Belair. I thought it had a great match. The slapping just cracked me up, and then she tries to flex on Bianca. This shit was funny, man.
She is a gem. Tiffany is. She's going to be. She's great. I mean, and she understands. And again, this is another reason why it's like, well, if you lose Bianca, because it's like, well, then it really can be Tiffy time.
Yeah,
like
Buff
then
Darby
it's
sitting in the wings.
Yeah, and it's. You hate to say sometimes it's like, sometimes it might be best to have the break, because it's like you're not gonna get booked into oblivion with a bad position or something like that. They're gonna automatically book you strong out the door.
Yep.
And I mean it's a good possibility that could happen. Of course, that could be just a rumor because I don't know. Because I remember hearing about it, the murmur of it, of they pulled her from house shows one weekend, but then she's performing a week on Friday in her match. So it's like, you don't know what to believe. Maybe they can do an injury angle, and that's how you write her off.
Right.
But at the same time, why don't you just come out because you've done it before. Didn't Alexa come out and admit it? Didn't they put her on TV and say that she was pregnant? I know the Becky one. I don't remember how they did
Becky
it with
one,
Alexa.
Yeah, I think she just lost at the Rumble and that was it.
Yeah, the Becky one was. It was actually really. That was very touching. That was actually a very touching moment when she's just like, "You can have this, and I'm gonna go be a mom," and it was just like, "Oh."
Yep.
There was kind of an emotional, that was very sweet.
But I felt that made sense for her character. Whereas for Alexa, it wouldn't have at that time.
No.
She's still maybe doing something with Bray Wyatt. She's exploring the darker side again. So it didn't make sense for her, I felt like. Which I was fine with. But, all right. So let's backtrack here. So moment of truth. I know we only know one finalist at the time, but who would you take in this match? Whether it be Bianca or Nia against Lyra Valkyria.
I feel like I would go with Lyra. You put her in the finals for a reason. I think if you want to have an impact and make an instant kind of a player, having her beat Bianca Belair or having her beat Nia Jax in the finals, and especially having a really great matchup with Io on Monday. I feel like you have enough people behind her and she's believable enough that you can make this happen. So I'm going to go with Lyra. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Lyra.
I actually agree with you, and I'm going to tell you that I don't think you're wrong, because We'll talk about the next match. We'll talk about it for this one. We won't jump to the men right away. I feel like there is truth to the rumors that Bianca's pregnant. I think that's part of one reason. I think Nia winning another title shot right now isn't really in the cards. I think that's another reason.
Yeah.
And to what you said earlier, while we were not talking about the match specifically, you mentioned that Becky's contract is potentially up. I mentioned that she has the time off that she still needs to take, that she did not get to take because Rhea got hurt. And who better to defend Becky Lynch's honor than Lyra Valkyria in a potential SummerSlam match?
That's a fair point.
So I do think that Lyra Valkyria wins this match as well. So having said that, let's move on to the match right above that. The Women's World Championship, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. I hate that it's happening.
I hate that it's happening, but at the same time, it's...
I feel like they should have built it another month, but that's...
Or just have Liv win the fucking Battle Royal when you don't do it.
That's also true.
But, you know, I think you got to go with Liv. You got to go with Liv. I just feel like you got to have something for Rhea when she comes back, because apparently she's going to be back during the summer. So that's coming soon.
Well, you know, she's already having her own summer with Buddy Matthews on the beach, because that picture on social media.
By the way, big ups to the people that removed his head.
Yep, I was just thinking that too.
Good job. Good job, people. That's some fine work.
I have to agree with you. Before you even go any further, I'm just going to agree right now. I as much as I kind of don't really care for this new Liv character, it just makes sense that she's going to win. Makes sense. Because then Becky can take her time off. She can figure out the contract. And I know that's obviously not built into kayfabe before anybody tries to, like, shrew and strangle me, but I just feel like it makes sense. And then you have this revenge tour. Then you can push Lyra to be the Becky Lynch in that. And then you could, depending when, bring Rhea back and bring her into the fold. And that would be perfect long-term booking for this.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I just... I don't want it to be the end for Becky. I don't want this to be like her last match and then she signs with another company. It's like, of course, her last match in Saudi Arabia. You know, because the last thing I want is, because you got to put her, if you're doing a women's wrestling Mount Rushmore, Becky is up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and every time she loses, it's because I just have that attachment to her, just because of the fact of she was really the first woman star that I was just like, fuck, she's got it. Like, she's perfect. And I've always felt like that. And the last thing I want is for her that this is it. Like, I don't want that. As a big Becky Lynch fan, I want her to be able to have her career go on from here. But at the same time, Liv Morgan deserves a fucking run. She does.
Let's clarify. Of more than a month.
Of more than a month, correct. Liv Morgan deserves it. Liv Morgan deserves the spot that she's in. Not just because of the fact that she was involved in somehow in a freak accident with this injury angle, which I told everybody, I said, if she's smart, she plays it to the hilt. And that's exactly what she's done. And she's got to she's got to turn the situation to an ultra positive. But I feel like she's done that.
She has. Just my thing with it is the fact that I don't think they need to turn her heel to do that. Because, like it's tough not to though, because Rhea was just so over.
Right.
Rhea's supposed to be the heel. Liv Morgan is supposed to be the babyface, sympathetic character, and that's didn't work out. And that's not Liv's fault or Rhea's fault. It's just freak accident. And unfortunately, in an industry like this, that shit's gonna happen. But for me, it's just really tough. It is, because I feel like, to a certain extent, WWE obviously Liv Morgan got put into this very strange situation of people got mad at her instead of being that sympathetic face that I just said she was trying to be.
Right.
So, I don't have anything else to add to that match. I'm sure it'll be good, but I think Liv, like you said, is going to win.
Liv's got to come out of this like a top heel. She's got to come out of this where people really despise her. They already despise her anyways, because look at Rhea in Judgment Day. That was coming to an end sooner rather than later, because they're cheering for her anyways. Why the fuck are we keeping her heel?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. You have to be able to go against and say, fuck it. No. We can't do, like, you were reaching a position, no matter what she did, they weren't going to boo her. And eventually you're going to have to turn her babyface. So the injury happening the way it did, now people are behind her. They look at her with the sympathetic, and the slow burn stuff they're doing with the Judgment Day too, of, oh boy, everybody's against her. She's with Dominic. She's with Finn. She's seeing all this stuff, this little inside stuff. Oh boy, what's happening?
Yep. Yeah, I just, you're seeing the cracks now. And, last week, even Damian Priest is like, who are we? I don't recognize us. And, like you said, it's coming sooner rather than later, so it's probably going to happen without her at this point.
Right.
Which, truthfully, it should. I feel like, at this point. And then she has nothing to come back to except for revenge on Liv, and then there's your story. Alright, so I guess we'll talk about the IC Championship match next. The triple threat match between Big Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, and Sami Zayn, the champion.
Oof. Well, I mean, I think now is when you pull the trigger with Chad. I think now's the time.
I don't know, man. I don't disagree, but this whole Otis factor is making it a little bit stranger to say that. I have to be transparent, and I think you'll probably agree that there's no way Big Bronson Reed walks out with the belt.
Probably not.
He's always been a non-factor the last couple of weeks, except for like telling Sammy, like, I don't care, you shouldn't either. Like, okay, that's your contribution to this match. Yeah, seriously. I
don't care, you shouldn't either.
So it's just so dumb. I was like, okay, good promo, guy. I think then, therefore, it comes down to Sammy and Chad Gable. Because that's the feud, right? Like, that's the feud that people care about in this match. They don't care. Bronson Reed's just like an add-on almost. And I hate to say that because he's incredibly talented for his size. He's like a modern-day Bam Bam Bigelow. But for this match, it's like nobody cares. I think you're right, though, at the same time. I think they have to pull the trigger on Chad Gable. I think they have to do it.
I think that you can't have guys take too many L's. You just can't. Like, he's already lost to Sammy, and if Bronson gets the pin and eats the pin on one of those guys, it doesn't really So I guess you could have Chad lose by some chicanery, and I had him beat. Takes it out on Otis, and I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how you. But Otis, for all I know, could be like an infiltrator that just suddenly wakes up and just he helps him win the title. For all I know.
Wait, like that's like a sleeper agent or something?
Kind of like
Witcher Soldier.
Kind of like how Luchasaurus type situation. I don't know. But I just feel like with Chad, it's like when are you going to do it? You going to do it now, or are you going to do it later? Because you can't have him eat too much now. Like you got to have him. You got to feed him a little. But you can't you can't let him get eaten by everybody else.
The thing is, Sammy doesn't need it either.
He doesn't. He didn't need to beat Gunther, but I understood why he did it.
Right.
Like, I understood why you did it, especially if, we'll talk about that later.
We can talk about it now because I have nothing else to add to this match.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if we'll go to King of the Ring. We'll go to the King of the Ring final instead of.
We'll talk about.
We'll talk about Cody later. Yeah,
because I feel like there's more talking points there. All right, so Gunther advances on Monday. He beats Jey Uso.
People were pissed off about it.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that next. So he's gonna fight either Randy Orton or Tama Tonga. We'll find out on SmackDown on 5/24. Say it that way because again we're recording on 5/23 on Thursday.
Yeah.
I have two schools of thought with this. Number one is, and I mentioned this to you in pre-show. I might have even said it on the show itself. I don't remember, but Gunther versus Randy Orton is as close to a dream match that you can get.
Yes.
Because you have a guy that has done what Gunther has done in the past, and now Gunther is that big guy, that big heel. The only issue, and like, let's be real, like, I do feel like Randy Orton's going to beat Tama Tonga on Friday.
I do too.
And then you have that dream match, so to speak. The only gripe that I have, and I feel like this is more indicative of the King of the Ring versus Queen of the Ring. The only problem that I have is that I feel like for King of the Ring, there were a lot of missed opportunities. So just to clarify real quick, you and I on a different show have talked about WrestleMania 4.
Right.
And how that entire WrestleMania, for those that forget, was a tournament.
Right.
This was obviously, for the vacant WWF, now WWE Championship, which culminated in the finals match of, Jesus, I don't know why I blanked on that. Of
Macho Man and DiBiase.
Yeah, thank you. I know. I was going to say it. I blanked it first. Probably because Randy Orton, and that's where my mind went. So anyways, yeah. I feel like King of the Ring has been missed opportunities as well. And, we can talk about the fact that Drew McIntyre had a back out from injury. We could talk about that Bobby Lashley had to do the same thing. For the women, we could talk about how Asuka had to do the same thing. But they were still able to make do with what they had. My issue, and I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I thought it would have been the PLE, but it would have been, this previous Raw. And it should have been fucking Gunther and Dragunov in the finals. Jey Uso doesn't need this.
No.
I think him losing to Dragunov would have been the right move. And, we talked about this in pre-show as well. You only had Lyra Valkyria from NXT advancing to the finals. Meanwhile, you have Dragunov and you have Carmelo Hayes, both just from previously NXT, and they both are out before the finals.
Yeah.
well, why can't you do it for the women but not for the men? And I just feel there were so many missed opportunities in this. Gunther and Dragunov is one of them. But how did you feel about the tournament, and how do you feel about most likely Gunther and Randy Orton?
Well, I agree with your point on the like Carmelo Hayes and you know, Dragunov not making it past a certain round.
I don't hate Orton winning against Carmelo Hayes. Like,
no,
I should say that. Like, I think that's the right move. And
it's
Carmelo
the right
Hayes
move.
Showed out, but I feel like Dragunov versus Jey Uso should not have gone that way.
But do you want to do Dragunov and Gunther on free TV?
Are you fucking kidding me? I would do it. I
would
do it every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
I understand that. I understand that. But you know what I meant.
I know what
your first time you're meeting these guys, and especially two that let's go a little crazy here, okay? All right. So, because I like to lie in the weeds a little bit here on this program. So, if we do the math, Gunther is already in the finals. Gunther wins the tournament. Gunther challenges Damian Priest at SummerSlam.
Is that how you see it going down?
Or Drew McIntyre. No, this is not how I see it going down.
Okay.
This is just...
No, I just want to clarify.
This is a theoretical situation I have in my head.
It's not a theory.
So,
it's a Dan theory.
It's a Dan theory. So, Gunther beats whoever the world champion is at SummerSlam, defends the title at Bash in Berlin a few weeks later. So who's going to face him? And then it's going to be Dragunov, because Dragunov wins a tournament. Or not a tournament, but wins like a battle royal or something, and wins it's a quick little tournament, like it's worth 3 triple threat matches in 3 weeks or something.
Sure.
Or something, something silly. But it's Dragunov and Gunther at Bash in Berlin. That's their first time they meet on the main roster.
Okay.
So
either Bash.
That's a thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hold on. I don't disagree with where you're going with that. So either there or Clash at the Castle, because of the fact that it was NXT UK was when Dragunov beat.
Correct.
So regardless, there's history, right? So I don't disagree with that, because you could easily do it at Clash and have Clash be just. And I know it's not the right timing per se, given what you said earlier, but you could still do Drew and CM Punk there instead. Right.
Correct.
And that's not bad, right? Like it's not a title, but it's still a big, huge win if McIntyre beats Punk in his home country. So I don't hate that. I still feel like even on the other side, there were just missed opportunities. And like Tama Tonga in the first round, I felt like against Angelo Dawkins was just like, why?
Yeah.
No offense to Angelo Dawkins. I'm not saying he's not talented, but there's so much other talent, including his tag team partner, Montez Ford, that this could have gone to. And it makes sense in the context of having the distraction outside. Same thing probably would have happened if it was Bobby Lashley. So maybe it being the weaker of the three makes sense too, but I just felt like it could have been better. I know he's in the main event too, but I felt not including Logan Paul and King of the Ring was a little weird. I get that he's in the main event. I get that he's going to face Cody.
He's already got the shot. He doesn't need to enter the tournament.
But it would be another notch on the kid's belt.
It would, but their thought process is, and there's two ways you can look at it. If Gunther wins the championship at SummerSlam, then you know that Bash in Berlin is going to sell the fuck out.
True.
It is going to sell beyond, like it is. So many people are going to be there. It is going to be ridiculous.
I think it's going to sell it either way.
Either way,
Yeah.
but especially with Gunther on top. And I think that would be my logic and thought process of you got to make him champion before that. Because your house is going to jump up big.
I agree.
And that would be my thought process. Plus, at the same time, it's just a natural progression for this fucking guy. It's just, of course he's in this spot. However, he's going up against a guy, and I'm going with the belief it's going to be Randy Orton. If it's Tama Tonga, I'll be shocked. Like, completely shocked.
I'm with you. Yep.
But it's got, if it's Randy, the problem is that I'm entering a phase of Randy Orton, because now Randy Orton is in the chase part of his career. And what I mean by chase is he's going after the record. And I want him to beat the record.
Yep.
And I'm not the only one that wants to see him beat the record. I want to see him do it. So now, anytime that he's challenging for a world championship, I am going to be like, fuck Randy Orton. I want Randy Orton to win. But the problem is I don't want to see him go up against Cody. I don't want to see, not this soon.
Why?
Because I want to see Orton win the title again. I want to see him break the record.
Right.
But the problem is I don't want to see him lose up against Cody.
Okay, that's a different scenario.
And that's kind of where I'm at, of just like, and I don't want to see Cody beat him. I don't want to see Cody lose either.
So you were
even if it was a quick little like,
hold on, though. You were the one that said they would challenge on their brand. Is that confirmed?
Yes.
Okay, because at Mania they get the choice, so I wasn't sure if this was similar to that.
Right. No, it's not similar. It's he announced he's just like, you will challenge for your respective brands championship.
Okay.
So that's the direction I think they're going, which also sets up parameters.
Correct. Yep.
You know, which is important, because you don't have idiots like me for the next couple of weeks of just like, so that means that Gunther is going to no, because now it's just like, okay, the match is just set. Especially too, it's just
makes it tough.
It does.
Because
but also too, that now you have a direction now for 2 months.
Yeah.
Because now it's okay. If you're gonna, so my automatic pick is, I want to see Randy Orton and Gunther more than I want to breathe. Let's just put that out there now, because both these guys are in ring, and Orton against anybody now, you just see it, because now you just get this new appreciation of Randy Orton and what he can do, and you're starting to realize, and everybody else is, of just how goddamn great he has always been and how consistent a performer he is. And Orton versus Gunther is gold brick Fort Knox.
That's why
money.
I called it a dream match. Yeah.
And so that should be the direction you go. And maybe it's too soon for Randy Orton versus Cody, so you don't want to do that yet. But also, you still need a big match for Cody, because it's a mark. Like, there's so many directions, because Cody needs a strong challenger for SummerSlam. But there's still time for him to get a strong challenger for SummerSlam.
But you know what it is, Dan? I don't want to cut you off, but I think this needs to be said. I don't think he needs a strong challenger as much as he needs a strong heel challenger. Because Randy is not a heel.
Not yet. Well, no. Well, the thing, he's also in that part of his career where it's like it's tough to make him a heel because he's like in that legends category of like they're going to cheer him anyways because he's been here forever and he's one of the most decorated guys in the history of the planet. Yeah. Like he's kind of got that Sting role where it's like, yeah, even if you turn him heel, he's still going to get cheered. Yeah. And that's where it's hard now because it's like he can't be Randy Orton of 2009 anymore because people aren't going to hate him like they did.
It's like when Edge came back with the Judgment Day, people hated it. I think at this point, if Randy turned heel, they'd hate it too.
Yeah, and I think it's just so I feel like it's just what I mean by strong challenger is that SummerSlam is considered a big four. Plus, it's a stadium show. See, what I mean is that he needs a name, right? Like a strong challenger that's a name.
Okay.
And like, so you're looking at, and I'm talking part-timer or something that you throw in there to challenge or part-time, but do you do John Cena?
No, not John Cena. Do you
Solo? Maybe. The only way I see Solo doing it, well, here's why I say Solo, because now that's the opportunity for you to say, for you to bring Roman back.
True.
If Roman's coming back.
From what I hear, he is, but I don't know when. I don't think anybody does. I feel like if Roman comes back, it has to be in favor of Cody Rhodes and against Solo.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
That was where I was going. No. I 100%. So I don't know if you're going to go with a big name or if it's somebody that you already have in mind of because of the bloodline stuff with Solo. I don't know. Like, I don't know because I'm looking at Gunther and I'm just seeing tunnel vision of Gunther Raw World Heavyweight Championship. But I'm looking at Cody and it's like, well, who are they going to put up against you? Because they hold SummerSlam in high regard. It's one of the big fours. And it's a stadium show. Anytime it's a stadium show, I'm thinking, it's a big match. It's got to be a big match. It's got to be a big name.
Okay.
And you wonder who it's going to be. And because you look at SmackDown and it's just like, all right, who can you challenge next? Because they're doing this, I guess we can segue right into it. They're doing the Logan Paul and the
LA Knight
Cody Rhodes match now.
Oh. Yeah.
When it's like you could have done this at SummerSlam and it might have been a bigger deal because, and then in the meantime, could have looked at it as Logan Paul is losing the U.S. Championship before SummerSlam, and then SummerSlam he decides he wants to move on and go after Cody. Could have done it that way. Yeah. Instead, for a couple weeks, it was confusing of it's going to be title for title, where it's been confirmed it's not going to be title for title.
But you know what? They could turn around tomorrow and say that it is.
That's true.
It's the thing that I liked is that Cody could turn around and say, "Yeah, I'm a Grand Slam champion." That was the first thing, and once he said that, I was just like, "Damn, good call."
Well, too, his dad was created the U.S. Championship, I thought, technically. So that would also have that kind of that thought process behind it. So,
yep. The other thing is that if you look at the contract signing, nobody showed the signatures. Nobody showed if Cody added a clause, which I doubt they did, anyways. But still,
right?
You could have storylined it. And then the simple fact remains is that Cody is already WWE Undisputed Champion. You could have him just say, "Hey, I'm already Undisputed Champion, so I'm just going to relinquish this and vacate the title." And then Logan Paul could have won it on the next pay-per-view.
Right.
It wouldn't have mattered. It just would not have mattered. And then he has it back in time for SummerSlam.
Right.
Or they could have done what they did with the Women's World Championship and vacate it and just do a fucking Battle Royal on Raw. They could have storylined it however they wanted to. They don't want to do that. That's fine. We'll find out more tomorrow and Saturday. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have hated Cody Two Belts for a little bit. I just wouldn't have.
No, I wouldn't have.
Before we dissect any further, though, so for the men's King of the Ring tournament, who are you picking? Are you picking Gunther?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gunther.
Okay. I want to go Orton, but I think you're right too about it's too soon.
It's just too soon, and then it's 3 weeks. Bash at Berlin is 3 weeks after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
The geography of it alone, I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's where you do it. Like, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like, Gunther wins the title at SummerSlam, goes into Bash at Berlin, defends it against whoever.
Yeah.
Especially after Backlash, they are going to do whatever they can to pop a crowd like that. And this is this is one of the ways you do that. Because they want that visual. It's all about the pop, man. They want to be able to get that. They want to be able to get that crowd reaction. They want to do it every single time. Nothing does that more. As long as Gunther is in that position as world champion heading into Bash at Berlin.
Yeah. I mean, just on the timeline of it, I would have to go Gunther too. I think there's a strong argument for Randy Orton, but it's hard because, like you said, it's almost too soon.
Randy Orton and Cody is a WrestleMania match too, in my opinion.
Well, it's not going to be for another year then at that point.
I know, but yeah, you're going to have to do it eventually. But I just don't. I wouldn't do it in the first year. Maybe next SummerSlam, but I wouldn't do it now. Like
he has to figure out this whole Rock and Roman thing first, which I
they gotta
is going to be next Mania,
unless it's Cody and Roman. I mean Cody and Rock. Excuse me.
Who knows, man? At this point,
there will be there's going to be a third match between Cody and Roman eventually too. That's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Roman's going to get it back though. Is the thing?
No, well, it depends.
Maybe. All right. But not to diverge too far here at this point. I think we mentioned this. I felt like it was going to be like Brock or another Hall of Famer or part-timer or somebody, and then it's Logan Paul.
Yeah. You're just, like, coming into this thing, I'm just like, okay, maybe this is where they say Brock, they're going to bring Brock back.
Right.
And I'm thinking it's like, they're going to spend the money and they're going to get somebody. And then I'm thinking for my 2K basis too, because I'm like, are they finally going to be able to get them released? Instead of just locked into this stupid showcase mode? Come on. Which we'll talk about 2K at the end. That'll be kind of my final thoughts tonight. But no, this is it's like, really? You're doing this now?
I think this is another, oh my God, why did I move that wire? Jesus Christ. I think this is another Dave Meltzer booking.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's obvious. But I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's too soon.
I don't think it's too soon because he's already, him being Logan Paul, has already, had opportunities.
Right.
I don't see the point. Like he's obviously going to lose a smash. I think it's just a Meltzer booking. They're booking it for a rating.
Yeah, because the match is going to be excellent. It's going to be excellent. The match is going to be great.
Yeah, 100%.
It's because both guys can go, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Logan Paul, but it's like anything that this guy has done in the ring that he wants to do, he's been able to do it. He's treated the industry with 100% respect. I don't mind celebrities getting involved as long as they treat the industry with 100% respect, and then an asshole about it. Like, people say all the time, they're just like, "Oh, I hate celebrities in wrestling." Well, then you're fucking stupid. Because they bring eyes to the product.
Like, so not only that, but like Bad Bunny had a phenomenal match.
He was great.
Not this.
He takes it seriously too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Logan Paul creates viral moments in the ring with the likes of Ricochet, like the likes of Roman Reigns.
I remember going into that WrestleMania when he teamed up with Damian Priest in a tag match.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know the goddamn thing that this guy has done, but everybody was just telling me on what he does, and his music and all this stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I just, you see him come out in a semi for his entrance, and he took it fucking seriously. Like, that's the thing with me. I don't care what background you come from, is as far as acting is concerned. Like, when Jay Leno even did it, he took it seriously. He really didn't. You know, I'll give him credit. He took it seriously. I don't like Leno, but he took it seriously. Rodman took it seriously. Karl Malone took it seriously. Guys, if they take it seriously, I don't mind them being involved. And that's how I feel with Logan, because I think he is a tremendous talent. And I think he's made the industry better with his presence and what he's been able to do. And I don't mind his prime station and all this stuff at ringside. It is kind of funny when people just knock shit into it. Like it's
Dominic
just
this last week.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like, that part of it is hilarious. And I don't mind that. So really, at the end of the day, I can't believe I'm still saying it, because every time we talk about Logan Paul, I'm like, I actually like the guy. Ugh, I hate myself for saying it, but I like him. I think he's pretty good. Like, he's decent. Like, he's in the wrestling business. He's great. I just don't want to see him if he beats Cody Rhodes, I'm going to be pissed off, but I don't see that happen. Yeah. I just don't see that happen.
So I will echo that sentiment. I do see Cody Raheem Rhodes, as he's been called on social media lately, winning this match and retaining the Undisputed Championship. I don't see any other way through it.
No. It's a safe bet that Cody's walking out with the title.
Yep.
As it should be.
Yeah. I don't think she should lose to Logan Paul, of all people.
Right.
I just don't. All right. I guess that will bring us to the scroll to close us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Pro Wrestling World Talk Scroll.
I love that you drummed to that, even though I created that. I just think it's funny. All right, so
I'm putting you over. Shut up.
I know. All right, so I just refreshed. So we got fresh. This was reported earlier today, also 58 minutes ago by TJ. Jim Ross had a trip to the emergency room this morning, or today, I should say, in Norman, Oklahoma, due to shortness of breath. He provided an update this evening with a picture of him and his daughters. Get well soon, JR, by TJ. So this was 2 hours ago, so I guess this was more his update than anything else. Daddy and his two angels, they truly love their daddy. He's looking pretty grisly. Jim Ross admitted to the hospital earlier today with shortness of breath. No news about how he's doing, so I'm not going to keep going with that, but just want to make sure people know about that.
Yeah, I nothing but the best towards JR, so hopefully we want you around longer, JR, so.
Well, just not announcing, please.
No.
Dude, he's not good anymore. I'm sorry.
He can do podcasts though. I like his stories. Like, he's good at telling stories now. So, but no, I have all the respect and love for JR.
No,
so
I
hope.
agree. Yeah.
I hope he's all right.
Yep. All right. So this one is Mr. ES Guy. I don't think we've read one of yours yet, so that's good. Whoa! Did you see that sign in the crowd? Tony Khan might need to take a page out of Triple H's book and begin blacking out some inappropriate fan signs. Do you think such a measure is necessary? Was this sign over the line? Let us know in the comments. So I like that you're doing that. You unfortunately do not show the sign. Okay, so Triple H is your daddy, referencingly aimed at Tony Khan, spotted on Live Dynamite. So apparently that was the sign. I mean, I don't think you need to block it out, but I mean, it doesn't help your product either, though.
Nope, but it just, look, because I hate when they both do it. Both companies have been known to do it, of just confiscating. It's like, cut the shit. Come on. Like, it's freedom of speech. Like, as long as it's not, I swear words I understand, right? But rival promotions, who gives a shit?
I remember when Monday Night Wars, they were referencing it on the signs, obviously, wrestling the other promotion's wrestlers.
Vince fears ratings. I remember that sign.
Yeah, man.
Bischoff just holding it up in the aisleway. I'm laughing my ass off. Like, oh God, this is so great.
Yeah, I just feel like people need to calm down with some of the signs. But, like, freedom of speech, man. It's a thing. So.
Yeah, what are we, fascists?
Fucking fascists. Alright, so this one is by The Prophet. Who did it better?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I don't... I see.
I could just
Kingston.
any time I just see The Prophet, I'm just like, oh no. It's all right. What do you got to say?
Fair enough. All right. So who did it better? Fire emoji. AEW has some unhinged wrestlers on the roster. You never know what's going to happen next. I think they do such a great job building to their pay-per-view events, and they have once again reached a climax with their storytelling. And now this weekend they're going to bring the house down. I miss Eddie Kingston already, and I hope he heals up well, but it looks like Darby hasn't only replaced him on Team AEW, but he's replaced the same unpredictable X Factor that the Mad King was going to bring against the Elite in Vegas. We aren't ready. This weekend across the wrestling world is going to be so crazy.
Well, he's right about that.
I mean, because one of them has gas and the other one has fire? Like, I don't get it.
Well, I just, because Darby came out with a flamethrower, I guess, last night on Dynamite. So, yeah. But I mean, I just, I don't.
Yeah. Blah. Like, what?
They're both insane. So I don't know why.
Yeah, dude wanted to climb Everest. Like,
yeah. He got hit by a bus, and he's like, within 2 weeks, he's back. Like,
yeah.
Type of you're not dealing with somebody that's playing with a full deck.
I think that's putting it lightly. All right. So this one is Stone Cold. Oh no. Fight.
Oh no.
Oh no, brother. Oh no, Stone Cold said so. Anyways.
You got me, brother. Oh no.
You got me, brother. Fightful is reporting that those within AEW have said MJF got an extension or a new deal at some point after Double or Nothing 2022. However, it's not known how much time is left on the deal at this point. The belief he will be returning at Forbidden Door at the latest. Okay? You gotta work on your sentence structure there, my guy. I am beyond ready for MJF to return. The main event scene is in desperate need of him. I think he would be the perfect fit to join the Elite Takeover story. No. Are you ready for him to return? How would you book him? Stone Cold, oh no.
In AEW, I don't know how you book him. Wait a second. I mean, if I'm booking his return, I'm booking him at SummerSlam against Cody. I mean,
do you finally finish the Devil story that they've kind of just like shelved?
I fucking wouldn't even talk about that again. I'd just be like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I just let it die on the vine, because it's just why even go back to it?
Are you making Sopranos references right now? It died on the vine. It peed it out.
It peed it out. Died on the vine. Where's the fucking money?
Supposed to be earners.
Don't tell me shit about the economy.
No, but I think you just leave that alone. Like I wouldn't go back to it if I end.
I was kidding anyways. I wouldn't do that.
The problem with MJF now is if he comes back to AEW is you already slotted in Ospreay. You've already got Swerve slotted in where they are. And you've also signed like all these top tier, like Okada. You got to figure like Okada. Eventually, you got to move Okada out of that the shit with the elite. So, and then you got to figure out what you're going to do with Mox. Like that's a problem now. Like because they don't have like separate brands, and they don't have, in my opinion, kind of the fortitude to kind of be able to book. Because it's not like they treat Collision and Dynamite as like two separate shows at the time.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's not like one brand's working this week, because it carries over. And I'm sure it's going to do that this weekend because, technically Collision is the go-home show for Double or Nothing. Even though they're going to...
Nobody's probably to watch.
Well, they are, because WWE is going to be on earlier in the day because they're going to be in Saudi Arabia.
I mean, listen, I've talked to a few people that have already said they're going to watch shit later in the day at like 4 or 5 o'clock. So,
of course,
if the market share then is to rewatch it at that later time, you're going to miss AEW.
Oh, of course, but it is also the night before a pay-per-view.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Which you're going to be in complete sell mode, and so it makes complete sense. But I agree with you. I don't think it's going to really do, because I got the ratings came back for AEW last night, and I was like, they've hit their ceiling, and their ceiling now I think is like 725.
So the one thing that somebody mentioned recently is the fact they're also running the playoffs at the same time for the NHL and the NBA.
Which it's funny you mention NBA now. Everything it is all been, but it is everything but confirmed, like hard by the NBA or NBC
that they're going to NBC. Yeah.
That the NBA is going to NBC.
So I don't mean it just in the sense of like TBS or TNT though. I mean it in the sense of like, what am I going to watch between the two? I'm going to watch the fucking NBA playoffs.
Well, of course, right.
NHL playoffs.
Well, I mean, it depends, because you're going to watch the playoffs now because it's Florida and New York, or,
Didn't even do that. I'm like trying to like research shit now, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that screen. Oh man, it's one of those nights.
The Rangers are the only team in this household of New York that I had pretty much just given her the rights to, because number one, I understand where the Bruins lie half the time every year, and except for 2011, and she was able to give me the Patriots and the Celtics unopposed, so it's like, and then the Red Sox and the Yankees, we kind of just cancel each other out, so it makes it easier. But I want to see the Rangers do well just for her, so it's.
I will say nothing, and we'll go on to the next article here.
Fine.
All right, so this one's by The Prophet. So The Prophet has a prediction that Darby Allin...
has returned.
Yep, apparently. Darby Allin burns someone in Anarchy in the arena. Someone in the Elite will be jumping off a tall ladder or structure, and Darby Allin will quickly hit them with just a burst of flames to their back, probably covered by gear.
Probably Jungle Boy.
Oh, man, I hope so. I think
if they're doing fire, Jungle Boy is going to be involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's already used real glass. I think they can do this safely and impressively, and it could turn out as a very unique and crazy moment. Imagine Nick Jackson hitting a swanton from off a tall ladder through a person on a table. They move at the last second after Nick takes a burst of flames shot to the back. His expensive EVP vest shows the fire damage after the spot. This would be something we've never seen before. Bullshit. I've been run right a lot lately. Do you think this could happen?
It's
first of all,
possible, yeah.
It's happened. It's happened.
It's happened. Just not in a major, probably a major. I'm not going to call AEW a major wrestling. Well, I kind of have to because they're gonna have about They're gonna have about 5,000 to 6,000 people in the building. So it's not like we're talking about CZW numbers or XPW. Like you're getting a big crowd for this. So
well, let's put big in air quotes. Big for them.
Well, they're not the arena. They're not at the T-Mobile Arena. They're back at the MGM Grand, which I was doing because I was looking at the numbers, and their setup for the MGM Grand is like it's 7,000 now, which I think 2 years ago when they had Punk in the main event, they had sold out the T-Mobile Arena. It was like 14,000, and then the pay-per-view that was like their highest grossing pay-per-view with Punk in the main event, and then they went the route they did, and now they're in the position that they are. So I don't know what to tell you there.
I like the GIF that the team put up too.
I mean, look, I'm going to give the Prophet credit though. It's a very interesting thought process for a spot in the match. I'm not going to say you're wrong because I think that's it's a logical thought process. I'm not going to guarantee it. I think if they're going to do anything with Fire, I think it's got to be involved with it happening on Jack Perry.
Like I said, I hope so.
I agree.
All right, so this one was Mr. ES Guy. I'd love to know what that means. Are you ready to say howdy to WWE's favorite uncle with Howdy's return nearing? We don't know that. We are getting bogged down with cryptic clues, with so many clues given out back to back. It's only natural WWE.
I got a wicked clue.
Yeah, it's only natural WWE might just slip once. So, what as the 4 p.m. update? I'm assuming this is supposed to be the 4. I don't know. I don't get the reference. Why was it deleted immediately? Here's what we know. And he posted the article, which is what was Uncle Howdy's 4 p.m. WhatsApp update? Okay, so that explains it. And why was it deleted? So, I'm just gonna move on. I don't know why my stuff's like, hey, by the way, and I don't know why it did that, but hey, there's an article if you want it. Just we're all sorts of fucked up tonight. All right.
Been a long couple weeks, folks. Give us some time.
It really has, man. I'm not even gonna read all this. David? Really?
Reading is hard.
Really? No, because he starts with what I like about the Young Bucks, and I immediately don't want to read this now.
Oh, I understand why people don't like the Young Bucks, but I at least have to defend them because
all right, so let's read it. Let's read it. All right, so what I like about the Young Bucks? Well, it's their crazy style. If you allow yourself to have fun, it can be great, entertaining, and just an absolute thrill ride.
He's right.
He's right. What I don't like about the Young Bucks. Okay, so you should have led with what you don't like about the Young Bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
David, come on, man. Their clear backstage BS, kitty crap, where they act like spoiled brats when they don't get their way. Also very true. So he clarifies a little bit further. He says, I don't mean they're heel characters. I like that. I mean, how these two nitwits couldn't make peace with CM Punk for just a couple of weeks so they could do business. Or how most of Punk's friends can't even get airtime anymore. So yeah, you hate the Bucks because you're a gatekeeper. I hate that they can be better people, but they just aren't. We're not the same.
So, he's 100% right in a lot of sense because...
He is.
Look at... So...
Colt Cabana?
Well, no, because he's not a Punk friend.
Was at one point.
I was going to mention Danhausen.
That's true. Go ahead.
That is a massive fucking whiff on that company's part. The fact that when that guy came into that company, He was one of the hottest independent professional wrestlers in the world. Everybody was talking about him. And the fact is that he had the ability to cross over. You were going to put him in the same category as like a Swinguli, a Joe Bob Briggs, or a fucking Elvira. And you fucked it up.
I would have said Deadpool, but yeah.
He fucked it up so hard because, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago with a friend. It was actually John. We were talking about, it was either, we might have been recording another episode or we were working on, this is before he took his hiatus. And I pretty much straight up told him, I said, you cannot argue with me that they have done a great disservice to Danhausen. And he agreed with me 100%. Because they cooled him off severely. Severely.
Yep.
And I wonder now that if he gets out of his contract, because WWE, I think you bring him in and you let him keep his character, obviously, but also at the same time, then you let him host something on Peacock at that point. Give him his own like movie thing where he's hosting like for the old shit from the Universal Library.
So, real talk for a second.
Yeah.
You saying this and him going to WWE, dude, put him with R-Truth, and
oh my god,
fucking amazing.
Yes. No. Or like that, or just CM Punk and Danhausen. I think.
I mean, that works still. Yeah, it works.
It'll be Pepsi-hausen. It'll be Pepsi Man and Danhausen. Like, because that was one of the things I was waiting for in AEW. I'm like, they have to do Pepsi-hausen at least once. But there's truth to that because they haven't done shit with him since Punk got fired. And they're doing the same thing with Ricky Starks because Ricky Starks has pretty much said that he is in kind of the Punk territory. Because these guys are getting frozen out. They brought back the guy who got your biggest star fired. But the guys who are actually trying to make a difference and actually were in Team Punk, you've kept off TV. So there is some truth to that. It's glaring truth.
Which I think is funny because this whole thing started because supposedly CM Punk was keeping Colt Cabana off TV. And
exactly.
Now they're just doing the same thing to people that like Punk, so it's like.
But
okay.
The difference is that Colt Cabana does nothing for business. Zero. Colt Cabana has made a lot of money in the wrestling industry with very little talent. What has he done? Like, what has he done? Honestly, like,
Nothing.
Has he drawn the only thing that guy was known for was CM Punk saying his name in the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Nobody went to go see him do another show. Like, nobody bought money, I don't think ever, but paid a ticket, paid money to go buy a ticket to see Colt Cabana. He's never done anything. He's never. We talk about drawing dimes. He's never drawn a fucking penny. Not a penny. The only reason he ever was successful and it ended up fucking him anyways because when he had his podcast, he was friends with everybody for a time until he fucked everybody over. Like, I believe Punk's story. I just do.
Couldn't tell.
Because, well, I just, Punk is one of those guys, he doesn't lie. He doesn't. Maybe a little bit when he was just like, he's home when he returned to WWE. It's like, that's not what you said 3 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, but you look at, Punk was trying to go back to WWE in 2019, so.
Yeah.
And he was trying to go back even before AEW. So, look, it's glaring. Like, I look at it all and I just see it and I'm just like,
it's petty.
It's petty bullshit, but it's also costing your company money.
That is very true at that point.
Because Ethan Page just left, like, all these guys that were under the radar, but they were good. Like, they were good. They were solid talent. And now they're going to be going to work for another company, or they're going to be working they would rather work the indies than just sit on another contract again, like, and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what you've catered to everybody else, all these guys that were big 5 or 10 years ago, the Jerichos, the Adam Copelands, but you're not catering to your guys that are underneath, the guys that were known prospects 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago when you signed them.
Yep.
And you've done nothing with them. You've done fuck all because you've been chasing the bigger names.
Yep. All right, so let's move on. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. This is by Blackheart. Just looking at the clock, really more than anything, I want to get through a few more. But basically, he's talking about that it was announced that they'll get a championship opportunity at SummerSlam for the King and Queen of the Ring. So, good post there, obviously. What's next? Triple H has announced the winners Saturday's Queen and King of the Ring tournaments will receive a championship. That's why Stone Cold no. He wants Cody versus Gunther, but apparently it was announced after this was posted that it's for their brand only. So I'll leave that picture up because we really haven't shown it just for a second. The King Crown, as it were. We really haven't shown that on the show, so I just want to make sure we show that a little bit. Looks nice. They both do. I like that they're showing them at the Raw and SmackDown every week, too. Okay. So this was something you sent a meme about earlier, Dan. This one is by Mr. ES Guy. I shouldn't say it's about the meme, but about Tony and Jay White. And of course, I keep hitting things because they have links, so my bad. Fans just weren't behind Jay White during this. Jay White's momentum has gone down bad in the last few months. Do you think there will be any changes following this? So basically the article that I had open by mistake was Tony Khan left red face after Who Wrote This Shit jive brings out during Live Dynamite, which is what Dan sent me earlier, actually.
Oh, it's hilarious. Because the crowd was so quiet, you could hear that guy just... You heard him playing, it echoed right on TV. You're just like, oh no. And it is true, though, with Jay White. It's, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, that promo was dog shit.
What the fuck did you do to him? Because, well, firstly, I think he's a WWE style more than he is an AEW guy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Firstly. So I think but again, I think he chased the money, which, all right, as long as you can live with it, which I think in the end, because, yeah, you're going to sign the big contract. Cool. I got the money that I wanted. Yay! Am I going to be able to get a re-sign, though, at the same amount of money, or am I going to take a massive shit on my next deal because they booked me into fucking oblivion? See, you could have went to WWE, taken less money, but you'd probably get the same money or more the next contract would come around.
Right.
Now, you signed for the big money. You took all the money now. But the problem is they book you in like shit and they book you in oblivion. So now your contract is offer from, I'm going to go to WWE finally. And they're going to offer you half of what they offered you last time. So really at the same time, you technically downgraded.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I skipped a few, kind of talking about stuff we've already talked about, or other things that I didn't feel we needed to talk about. But this one by the Prophet again, I feel is wow.
What do you do now?
There's pictures below, so it's how it started versus how it's going. It's about Malachi Black and Adam Copeland. So I'll scroll down to the pictures in a sec. But Malachi Black thought he had it all figured out, but he just opened Pandora's box that he wasn't prepared for. The rated R superstar is about to unleash something that fans have been dying to see for years, and the House of Black isn't going to win this time. This program is very cool looking, but also a wink wink at all the commentary about how Adam Copeland started Judgment Day in WWE, and they had House of Black in AEW. Well, now they're going head to head. The barbed wire cage match is going to be insane. So here's pictures of what he's referencing. That's Malachi Black from this previous Wednesday. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to kiss Adam Copeland's ass, so I don't think he's going to win, to be honest. But who knows?
Well, it depends because, you know, I don't know what I don't know what Malachi Black's contract status is.
I hope it's up because he needs to go.
Oh, the rumors have been going that he wants out. And same thing with
that's
Buddy
been going
Matthews.
since he took the leave of absence, I believe.
Yeah,
year.
That was. I think that was. Yeah, you're right. Like where everybody thought that he was going to be jumping ship then, which he didn't. But I wonder what his contract status is because, and then too, there's a natural built in with Malachi going to WWE back there because he beat Cody. When he was in AEW, so that's an automatic rivalry right there. So,
and his wife was there too.
Copeland probably wins only because I don't know what Malachi's contract situation is right now.
Right. All right. So I'm just scrolling through a few of these. Apparently, it's Bray Wyatt's birthday today, and rest in peace.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about SummerSlam. We already talked about this. I do like this one though, so we'll read this one. This one was long. Uncle Evan. So Austin Theory says today that WWE booking or product, has surpassed the infamous Attitude Era. Speaking on the Battleground podcast, Theory even said this, quote, "We do all the things and every show is packed, even when I'm just doing meet and greets. Like in Australia, I did one where 300 people came to see me in the middle of a mall." Bullshit, Theory. WWE is at an all-time high. And
he's probably right, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. And you can't deny it. I think we've surpassed the Attitude Era. This era has solidified a new world of professional wrestling, end quote. So there's definitely some merit to what Austin is saying. Just say Austin Theory. Do not use the Lord's name in vain, my guy. The attendance and revenue over the last several years has been all-time highs, even compared to the Attitude Era. But at the same time, WWE has not really trying to fill out stadiums at the time, and the cost of things were very much cheaper then. So to compare them in any way is a little bit difficult. So the only way you can compare the two is by general interest, to which I believe the Attitude Era still has the edge, during which pro wrestling was as mainstream as it could get. Everyone and their mothers had NWO t-shirts, that's true. Yes. Everyone knew of DX, that's true. And their infamous catchphrase, that's true. And hand gesture, that's true. That's true. That's true. Austin versus McMahon, the growth of The Rock, ratings were through the roof. It was truly a time unparalleled to any other even now. What do you think of Austin Theory's opinion? So I guess this will be directed to you, Dan. What do you think of Austin Theory's opinion? Is he on point or do you disagree? And obviously let us know what you think.
Well, I think there's a little bit of a column. I think there's a little bit from column A, a little bit of column B. Financially, yeah, they're doing fantastic. But prices have gone up. He's 100% right. It's cost more to go to a WrestleMania than it probably did in 1998, 1999. They're not doing stadium. They weren't doing stadiums then. So I think that was which kind of they missed the boat on that because can you imagine some of those they probably would have made some of those manias better because I've always said
people would have died because they would have been falling from the rafters.
Probably because you think about 98,
that
99.
Wasn't a pun, by the way. Just clarifying that now.
It's just it would have been insanity because we were just like, we grew up at this like different time where it's like, yeah, I remember the Woodstock riots, you know, like, so who knows, right? That shit could have, and I remember those ECW crowds from the 90s, early 2000s too. It's like, oh my God. We were just different breed back then. Now everybody, it just feels like dignified.
Yep. Yep. So I'm kind of scrolling to see if we can get like one more good one in here. I saw one about Natty and how she's not that great and not so many words. I don't subscribe to that. Sorry.
We're not even giving you the time of day on that one.
I want one that's not AEW at this point. or negative WWE, which, as you can kind of tell, is hard to find a WWE. I mean, there's one that we've already seen with Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. Just anybody have anything positive? Okay, so I guess why are we talking about this? Oh, because it's St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Okay, so that's a cool article. Randy Orton inducted his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame over the weekend. Congratulations to him. Stone Cold Oh No, good reference, good call out. I like that, buddy. And there they are together.
Yeah, wrestling. St. Louis is one of the biggest wrestling cities in the country, especially as far as the history of the industry is concerned. Especially with Sam Mushnick as a promoter with Wrestling at the Chase, right. Which one of the highest rated wrestling programs ever, especially in that area. And then too, the NWA was quite a bit. It was kind of controlled out of there for a while. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
his dad getting inducted completely makes sense too. And
of course.
Yeah, and him being there was cool because I'm glad he was there and just showed up out of nowhere. I'm just like, yeah, I'm here to induct my, because just going to that show, it would have been like, holy shit, yeah. Randy Orton's here. Yep. Fuck.
Yep. All right. So this one is about Big E by Stone Cold Oh No. So Big E will be in a comedy series on Peacock. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
The show does not sound interesting. That's something I will watch. I apologize, Big E. So let's clarify why is Stone Cold Oh No has it in his article. The show is called Laid, which follows a woman who finds out her former lovers are dying in unusual ways and must go back through her sex timeline to confront her past and move forward. It's described as a fucked up rom-com where the answer to why can't I find love is there is something wrong with me is a resounding yes there is. The problem is definitely you. So he goes on to say, I'm so glad Big E has found something he can do with his time since he really can't wrestle anymore. Will you be watching? And I'm just going to clarify, no. Congratulations, Big E. That's yes. Good for you, though. I'm glad you're able to find some work outside of wrestling that, will give you something to do, basically, if you can't wrestle again, which all signs, unfortunately, are pointing to that being the case. I'm not going to read this whole thing. This is the next one that I found that is not AEW-centric, but somewhat about AEW. Stephen Borden, who is the son of Sting, he played Wolfpack Sting at his retirement match. Apparently is training to be wrestling with Darby Allin.
Hey, he hit those Stinger splashes perfectly, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Darby teaching him, though, I'm a little concerned, but...
Yeah, I read something that was like he's in a tent in his like yard or something like that. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I that's what I read. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I feel like none, but that's what I read. Okay, so this is
commune over there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is by Mr. East Guy. Top secret, Tony Khan Iron Fist explode after production crew lack of direction emerges. So that was the article he posted, basically to say, is this too far? Secrecy is fine, but it's borderline ridiculous. What are your thoughts, Tony Khan's strategy to keep secrets? I mean, stupid. I don't know what else I need to say.
Well, there was the rumor this week that he banned people from watching the Royal Rumble last year.
I did hear about that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Which is...
Alright, so this one is viewership increased across the board by Stone Cold. Oh no. We love to see it. I watch both companies. I think it's great to see ratings going back up. I'm sure it's been due to the playoffs. And it's what I said it earlier about
Playoffs?
Yeah, not that specifically, but yeah, about TBS especially and TNT carrying NHL and NBA playoffs, especially depending on the market. Playoffs.
You kidding me?
Yep. So SmackDown.
I just hope we win a damn game.
Jesus. So SmackDown was up. I guess I don't know why that just happened. Okay. I think signs are trying to tell me something. Yeah. So SmackDown was up, and Collision was also up. Collision looks like 523 viewers, which really is their average, anyways.
Yeah.
The downturn probably is the playoffs, and SmackDown was also up by about 600,000 or so, it looks like. So good news for all parties, I guess. Let's be positive. Yay, wrestling.
Not get worrying.
Oh my god. So this one talks about LA Knight's push. All you have is a hashtag that I can't even say out loud because I'm too tired. So get a name, bro. Name yourself. Where are they going with all this? Let the bloodline cool off a bit because no one is going to take them a serious threat without Roman. LA was the fastest rising star in WWE last year and has done virtually nothing since Saudi Arabia. Just, Saudi Arabian's a person.
Right.
Just saying. Maybe get the hashtag out of her name. You realize that? Anyways, the rumored USI title, dude. Just edit, my guy. Come on. You have angered me. The rumored US.
The grammar police has come out.
Yeah. It's because I'm tired. The US title match with Logan Paul at Mania would have been perfect, but no, we can't have nice things.
Sure, we can't have nice things.
But, I mean, listen, like, everybody knew he wasn't going to win that match at Crown Jewel.
No.
Everybody knew he wasn't going to win at the Royal Rumble.
No.
And does that really hurt him, or is it more, at least in my opinion, I'm sure you're going to agree either way, that they just haven't really booked him that much since?
I think it's just the fact that, it
and also the main event scene, we've talked
about
this previously.
It's so goddamn heavy.
Yeah, it's crowded.
Like, you got so many guys right now that are they're jockeying for position, and it's just LA Knight's going to have something big happen. Like, I don't consider him a lost cause. I think everybody else does for no reason.
No. You said something earlier, but it was about somebody else, and I was like, it was about teasing Logan Paul. And you would reference it, I believe, more to Cody, but I referenced it to LA Knight because the last SmackDown, they had them in that, like, standoff stare-down position.
Yeah.
And then he checks the belt out, and he kind of, like, smirks, and he walks away. And
SummerSlam for that, I think, is a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least.
I mean, we talked about, because we earlier this week, we were talking about the Jey Uso stuff. And I said, Jay doesn't have to win the King of the Ring. He's just going to win Money in the Bank. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah, Money in the Bank.
You said, LA Knight should win it. And I said, I mean, look, him winning it does make sense. I wouldn't mind it. But I feel like with Jay, it's just...
I think it makes more sense
you gotta
Jay. I don't think Jay needs it, is the thing.
It's the thing. Well, the thing about it is that you can't say that Jey Uso... he doesn't need to win King of the Ring. And then it's like, well, he doesn't need to win Money in the Bank either. Well, when he doesn't need a title, like, what is it?
No, but I think he could do it as on merit without either of those things.
But the thing is that every time that, especially the last two times he's challenged for the title, and we're talking about SummerSlam last year and then this year at Backlash, he couldn't get it done because, of course, he had to fucking deal with outside interference. So you wonder if him winning the Money in the Bank it makes sense for him because then he could be like, well, I can finally control my narrative without letting somebody else, controlling my narrative, like in the match. So maybe that's the thought process I would go with it. But again, like LA Knight winning Money in the Bank too also makes sense. So.
You know what it is for Jey Uso too? Completely unrelated to what you were saying and into this whole conversation about, well, actually, no yeet. I think he is still going to be very much involved in that story because at some point Jimmy is going to come back. I really do feel like it's either Roman and or Jacob Fatu. And I think that's what they're going to end up doing with him. You're just like, fuck.
No, it's possible. Because I there's definitely going to be a reconnection of the Usos because, and I could see it with. You got Gorillas of Destiny, you got Solo, and then you got The Rock, and then you put Roman, the Usos, and Jacob Fatu together.
Yep.
Then that's your main event for Survivor Series in War Games.
Yep, exactly. And that's exactly how I would do it too. So at that point, he would have to come back at SummerSlam. Or all of them, whatever, but you know what I'm saying. Alright, so this one, just real quick, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Mr. ES Guy talking about Brandy Rhodes. Apparently, it was just announced on social media, I believe, by her like a day or two ago.
Yes.
I can't pronounce this word. Endometriosis, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Stage 4, apparently.
Yeah, so apparently she had been in pain ever since the birth of Liberty, and she was kind of told, random things and things that weren't true, and I guess came to light that Maurice was also experiencing this, had surgery to get it removed, I guess.
Right.
And now is okay and not in pain. So apparently Brandy had just had that same surgery, was in for about 2.5 hours, if I remember correctly. And, hopefully she's okay. Hopefully she recovers quickly, but it was kind of cool to see that that's how she found out, and how she was able to get well.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to hear shit like this happening to just people in general.
Yeah.
It's just because you have a child and then you expect it, and then all of a sudden you got to deal with complications from that. It's just, you're already dealing with, because this is their first child, Liberty. And then also your husband's on the road realizing his dream and also potential. Right. So it's got to be tough when it's kind of like you're almost in single parent mode most of the week. I mean, it's not like it was back in 1985 or 1986 where, I'll see you in 3 months, honey.
Yeah, you want time off? No.
Yeah, exactly. Hogan wasn't seeing Linda all the time. Like, they saw each other when they could. Where I feel like with Brandy and Cody's there at least half the week. And probably not so this much this week, though, because of the fact that he's in Saudi Arabia. But
I feel like she's also on that bus a lot, I bet.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Like, it's a long
She's probably over there
weekend,
now. Who knows?
Because that much, I'll be on the bus. Yeah, like, I'm just willing to bet that's what it is, honestly.
Plus, I think the significant others also understand the amount of money that they're going to be making this weekend because the pay for these shows go up considerably.
Cody's not making like $5 million.
Oh, he's making at least $5. He's making Logan's making at least $5. Cody's making at least $5. Everybody in title matches is probably making and probably the winners of the King of the Ring, Lyra is going to look at her check from this show and probably faint. It's probably going to be the most money she's going to see in her life. That's one check.
I don't know about that, but yeah, pretty damn close.
It's going to be up there. Yep. It's going to be significant. Oh. Same thing with Gunther, like the paydays for these guys, because I've heard of the underneath guys, even like the participants where they were in that battle royal or something like that. They were making $100,000. Like the lower guys, they were probably making $100,000. And because the money is just, and Brock was making like $5 million a show.
Yeah.
Taker was making $5 million, and then Goldberg's making $5 million. They all wanted that. They all wanted that spot, and yeah, Cody's going to make at least $5 million this weekend. So it's like, okay, this is the perks to be the champ.
Yep.
You think Roman would have come back for this? Because it's like, oh God, how can I turn down the fucking money?
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. That's kind of where I was thinking about it too. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there, but I don't see it. All right, so we're gonna do one more article. This is one I read earlier in the week, I believe. I think it was a couple days ago, 2 days ago. Okay. So this one was also by David. I think this is a great article. Definitely something to talk about. So he says, while Triple H is clearly a better booker than Vince McMahon, there are things that Vince actually did better. Chiefly, Vince was usually quite poor at building a babyface character after the Hogan era. Most faces that got over, Austin, Brett, Rock, Cena, and so forth, didn't really do so at Vince's direction. Often they got over as heels, or despite Vince's direction, Triple H, by comparison, is great at building faces. What Vince is good at is building heels. Some of the best heels in the business, not named Ric Flair or MJF, were Vince McMahon creations. Rated R Superstar, Corporate Rock, Bloodline Roman, Reign of Terror Triple H, there are all heavily influenced Vince McMahon characters. One thing that Vince knows how to do very well is make people mad. That's an understatement. It's one of the reasons he's not the best at building faces. Vince was actually too good at pissing people off. I'm glad that Vince is gone from WWE, and I hope he never comes back. But man, Cody Rhodes would sure benefit off of one of Vince McMahon's mad genius heel character inventions right now.
I mean, he's not wrong to a certain extent, but when you're also transitioning eras, because you look at it, because I can pinpoint like the Ultimate Warrior title reign. He had no strong heels. None. So he talks about how great the only guy that he had that was any good was Rick Rude, and he already faced him a year earlier for the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
So, and then the matches with Kurt Hennig, they weren't, because Kurt Hennig was the Intercontinental champion, so they're not going to. And most of Warrior's reign the last few months is he was in 6-man tag matches with the LOD up against Demolition.
Yeah.
They had no one for him. No one. Because Hogan slayed everybody else. And it's the same thing with Cody. There's really nobody either because Roman slayed everybody. The only top heel right now for WWE, in my opinion, is Gunther.
Yeah,
and he's on the other brand.
When you put it that way, he's on the other brand, exactly. So if like I'm looking at SmackDown's roster, it's the Bloodline, it's Nakamura, maybe, who jobbed out to Rollins like every chance he got.
Yeah. And
he jobbed to Cody too already anyways. So I mean, who else is left? I just, you know, to your point about Hogan and about Warrior, you know, it's kind of that same mentality. It's like they both of them
transitioning eras,
like, but they also beat everybody too.
That's the thing. Like they don't have a good crop of heels at the moment, only because the fact that everybody's either been beaten off from being the top guy, they already got destroyed by Roman, so they're already out of the picture,
right?
Or mean, you could try to turn like Kevin Owens heel or something to try to. You do something. You do something
they
which
have to, right?
But you have to obviously, but right. Like again, like people are not letting Cody have because automatically everybody's just like this has to be successful. It's gonna be successful, but you have to let this shit like he's not gonna be blowing people away in the first 2 or 3 months. You need time to build. You need time to. But that was also my fear of doing this because I was like, they're just going to turn on them anyways, like they do everybody else, and they're already starting to. It's like this is why that we get stuck in this position sometimes because management just gets fed up because they're just like, what the fuck do these people want?
I think with Cody it's incredibly tough, and I mean it sincerely because everybody was so invested for him to finish the story, and this I'm just gonna air quote here new chapter hasn't done anything yet, and like listen,
not supposed to though.
But that's the thing, and that's what people don't understand. It's to showcase him and show people like, hey, I can have good fucking matches. I can't have a match like Roman had, but I can have something that's maybe on par or better, potentially, than what Roman had. And I'm a different style than what Roman was.
Right.
And there's absolutely nothing fucking wrong with it.
No.
His first title defense is a 5-star fucking match against AJ Styles.
By Dave Meltzer, by the way. If
Right.
Dave Meltzer gave Cody Rhodes a 5-star match in his first title defense. But the high class crowd that sits there and is just like they get fickle with everything. They do the same thing of why AEW and all this stuff. They're the same crowd. And they're the ones complaining, and it's just like, but he just had a 5-star match. Well, it's not 7 stars like Ospreay. Suck my balls.
Dude, he gets out of bed and takes a 7-star piss. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like we've discussed this
right
ad nauseum about Will Ospreay. He steps out of bed and he's going to get 7 stars right out the boot. It's going to be 20 stars if he's in fucking Tokyo, but you just got to let this shit breathe. I don't understand why it's like, God, these people.
It's that instant gratification. It is. And I know that there are people on that boat 2 years ago when Cody lost to Roman.
Right.
You know, he's like, oh, fucking, he should have won. And listen, like, I was on that boat too, but I kept watching because I was like, what's going to happen next?
Where are they going with this?
Exactly. Because,
Cody Rhodes pissed in the wind for part of the year last year too.
Yeah. So,
like, you can, even though I'm not saying he's pissing in the wind, he just didn't have any real direction. So it's going to take time.
And
it's got to take time.
But I feel like it is going to take time, number one, you're right. But number two, I almost feel like the direction should lead him somewhere other than the fucking bloodline. Because
the baby faces have been eating shit for years because of the Roman Reigns era.
Yep.
Like, and that's the thing where it's just the baby faces have been built up well, right, with Cody. Cody's been built up extremely well. But now the problem is that there's only been one heel that's been the only guy making all the moves for the last 4 years, and that's it.
Yeah.
You need it. So it was automatically going to go from one guy to another who's a baby face. Now you got to build up the heels again. Like, it's how it is. It's just, but everybody just, it's automatically, it's like, this sucks already. I miss Roman. It's like, no, you don't. Because Roman comes back in a month, you'll be saying, oh, I wish he would go away again. Same guy.
Nah, because he's going to be a face when he gets back, and everybody knows it.
No, I know.
I think it'll be just vastly different, but who knows? And then at that point, to David's point here, then he'll be right that Triple H knows how to build a babyface. Because
but also,
he's going to make a babyface out of Roman Reigns whenever he comes back.
But also, there could be the time that AEW is hot again, and people were like, he sucks. Yeah.
I mean, there are already those pundits out there. Just
course.
Thankfully, not us.
But those are the ones that have always been there since day one. Like, they're the ones that have drank the Kool-Aid. Even Brian Alvarez is starting to not drink the Kool-Aid. I've been watching videos with him and Meltzer, and he's just like, yeah, AEW, there's some problems in their direction. And then, of course, he was praising the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament. I'm like, Brian Alvarez is doing this?
Yeah, who are you?
What the fuck is going on right now? Again? What am I watching?
Oh, man. All right. I think we're good with the scrolling this week.
Yes.
I think we're good. Some good posts, some indifferent posts, but posts nonetheless. Go ahead and check.
All fun was had by all.
Yep, fun was had by all, except maybe the ones that we shit on too much. Sorry, guys. Yeah, check out the social media on Facebook. They also have Instagram and X Twitter, so go ahead and check those out too.
X.
Twitter X Twitter. I don't know.
He's been using brand X.
Good reference. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know.
All right, bro. You want to close this out?
Yes. Have you played any of the WWE 2K24 yet? Since the new DLC pack.
The other night, actually.
Okay.
I didn't really go full depth into that pack yet, but I did play it.
I think I have finally figured out my perfect NWOing. So, nice. I finally have the right ingredient for what I want to do. So that's one thing I'm intrigued with. And also the great work by What's the Status? What's the Status, who was reinstated recently by WWE 2K after a ban for a little bit. But he has been doing the alternative attires for CM Punk, which he created a 2011 one for Money in the Bank, one from the Nexus era, one also from his 2005, 2006 days, 2007 days, and also some of the attires that he wore in AEW. Tremendous work, and really has been able to make the facial models that he's been able to do might be better than the actual models that 2K has made, but I'm not going to argue. But that is one aspect of since the last couple of weeks has been so chaotic and heart-wrenching that has been one part of it that's been like, all right, well, I could get some fun and entertainment out of this. So that is the good part about video games, of just being able to be like, just sit in my own little world over here. So.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Go ahead.
But that is it for me this week. I feel like I have gotten enough out of my system. I do want to thank the people at PWW, the management, for the last couple of weeks off, to kind of, which they have completely understood, especially the producer Dave and Chris, the kind words and stuff, and being able to pay tribute to my brother tonight at the top of the program. Thank you for listening for that. I have to thank also Mac again for his love and appreciation and support throughout this whole thing. The last couple of weeks have been some of the most trying in my entire life. And you learn who your true friends are throughout this whole process sometimes. And boy, I have learned. And you realize that at the end of the day, that we all need to be able to coexist with everybody. We all need to be able to have people that you can count on. And I love pro wrestling, but at the same time, things are bigger than pro wrestling, like friends, family, love, and support. And I thank the listeners this week for braving it out with us, because the beginning was a real kind of tough episode. I feel like we did our absolute best though to kind of put smiles on people's faces for the second part of it. But I want to thank everybody for listening tonight, especially the first part, because it's very rare that I'm very this open and honest about my personal life. And for me to do this in front of all of you, it's hard for me. So I want to thank everybody for tonight. I want to thank everybody for the last couple of weeks and the kind words and everybody reaching out. And yeah, that's the best I can probably say at this time. I think because I'm exhausted mentally and emotionally. So it's thank you again for listening here on the channel and of course on Spotify and Apple. Mac, you got anything to close us out with?
I've been your friend for over 20 years. I knew where I needed to be this past weekend, and that was exactly where I was. I cannot speak for the Pro Wrestling World Talks team or anybody in the social media team on the Pro Wrestling World, excuse me. But I'm sure that I echo their sentiment in that, we're all here for you. The listeners are here for you, and exactly like I said, we know where we need to be, and we're a community. We will rally around you, just like you were talking about with Kayla, and I at least am here for you.
No, I know. I 100% appreciate that.
I know, but like Dan said, make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Diamond Podcasting Productions YouTube channel. We are The Shoot. We are also the Pro Wrestling World Talks on Apple Podcasting, on Spotify, and I think you already said we're on something else too. Didn't you say that the last time? What else are we on?
Yeah, but I think I was kidding at one point because I was like, "Oh, we're on Real Player," and then HD. I was on HD Radio, like.
Oh yeah, dude! I was dude. I was like, really? Okay, we're on everything, I guess.
We're probably on Slacker too. A couple other I think everybody could probably find us.
I feel like at some point we'll be on like everything because I think we're pretty
yes, we will across the board.
Yep. All right. So for me, I'm Mac. You're listening to Dan and Mac on the Pro Wrestling World Talks, and we will catch you next time.
Boo ran.